His relationship with Sylvia Shaw wasn't something that could be explained in a sentence or two. In his mind, she was just a friend, though now she wasn't even that. But Lord Charles and Princess Anna were true outsiders, and he felt no need to explain himself to them. Anna said no more. Lord Charles waved a dismissive hand. I've had her locked in holding cell too. If you want to see her, I'll have someone take you. Not later. Now, Liam said, not bothering with pleasantries. He added a perfunctory thanks. And thank you for your help, your lordship. The directness of his tone cut off whatever Lord Charles had been about to say. The monarch sighed and summoned 2 guards to escort Liam out. As Liam was wheeled away, Anna couldn't help but ask, Father, why don't you just tell him the truth about who he is? Wouldn't it be better to be direct? Instead, he kept hiding it, and the worry had kept his brow furrowed for days. It pained her to see it. Lord Charles sighed again. Didn't you see? Liam doesn't seem very interested in my stories. Besides, if I just tell him, how is that any different from forcing him to acknowledge me as his grandfather? He fell silent for a long moment, then let out another heavy sigh. It all happened so long ago. I don't want to force him now. Hearing her father's words, Anna nodded in understanding. But, Father, a stalemate isn't a solution either. Do you plan to keep your distance from him forever? If there was a regret, you try to fix it. If you couldn't, you let it go. But she knew her father could never let this go. Lord Charles raised his hands to cover his face, his voice strained. I don't know what to do. The atmosphere in the study grew heavy with silence. A spark ignited in Anna's eyes. Father, I have an idea. I don't know if it will work. What is it? Tell me. Lord Charles sat up straight, his gaze fixed on her. Anna paused, gathering her thoughts. From what I've seen, Liam and Cassandra Thorne are quite close. Perhaps we can approach this through the Thorne family. Charles's eyes widened. Is that so? Yes, Anna confirmed. I saw Cassandra at the hospital a few days ago. She's completely devoted to him. Her people told me they're a couple. A couple? They're already dating. Yes. And didn't Mr. Thorne call Liam his future son-in-law? I was thinking, what if we hosted an engagement party for them, with the royal family as the official host? Her voice trailed off. It was just a sudden thought, and she wasn't sure if it was viable. But Lord Charles's eyes lit up. He clapped his hands together. Of course. The Thornes are vacationing here as well. I can bring them all together, and it would be perfectly natural for me to publicly acknowledge Liam as my ward, my honorary grandson. As if struck by a bolt of inspiration, he stood up, pacing with excitement. That's the plan. Anna, you'll handle the arrangements for the next few days. I'll take a short leave. We'll tell everyone I've fallen ill. Anna nodded. Of course. In front of holding cell 2, Liam saw Aled, the guard he'd encountered during his escape from the Mornin Hills estate. Aled was uninjured and was now on patrol in the subterranean corridor. When he saw Liam approach, his eyes flickered. You broke your leg? Aled stepped forward, gesturing toward Liam's cast. Had a little fall down a mountain, Liam said with a wry smile. But thank you for saving Chloe. Just doing my job, Aled replied, his eyes narrowing as he studied Liam. Fell down a mountain? Only an idiot would believe that. But he didn't press the point. Are you here to see Sylvia Shaw? Liam nodded. Yes. There are some things I need to make clear to her. Right. Aled gestured for the guards behind Liam to stand back. He then moved behind Liam's wheelchair and took the handles himself. As the heavy iron door of holding cell 2 creaked open, a woman shrouded in a black hood and bound in chains came into view. The room was stark but clean. A bed, a toilet, a small table. Every sharp edge was padded with foam, as were the walls. A chain ran from the corner of the wall to the foot of the bed. Aside from her bound hands, it gave Sylvia some room to move. But it gave her no means of self-harm. Her hair was a tangled mess spilling over her shoulders. She was curled in a corner of the bed, her back pressed against the padded wall. At the sound of the door, her entire body trembled. Why did you take me? Let me go. I have to find Liam, she muttered, her voice frantic, almost insane. Liam was silent for a moment, then glanced at Aled. Aled leaned in close. After you were pushed, we knocked her out and brought her here, he whispered. She was saying that right before she passed out. She wanted to die with him. She's completely lost it. Liam's eyes narrowed. He gripped the wheels of his chair and looked at the retinue of people behind him. Have them all leave. I have a few things to say to her alone. Hearing a familiar voice, Sylvia's hooded head twitched, turning blankly toward the sound. Aled understood. He waved his hand, dismissing the other guards. I'll step out as well, then. No, Liam said, shaking his head. You stay. Be a witness. He wasn't about to be alone with her. If it weren't for Cassandra's pregnancy and her volatile emotions, he would have brought her with him. Aled had seen plenty of these private confrontations, but this was the first time someone had asked him to stay. He gave Liam a long, appraising look and nodded slowly. All right, I'll be over here. You two can talk. Good. Liam pushed his wheelchair into the cell. After a few more words, Sylvia seemed to confirm that the man before her was indeed Liam. She grew agitated, shouting blindly toward the door. Liam, it's you, isn't it? Liam, are you here to save me? Even now, she still thinks I have amnesia? Liam raised an eyebrow, watching her in silence. He remembered their first meeting. Back then, she still had her sanity. Putting aside her obsession with him, she was a goddess-tier woman. Now she was this, a raving lunatic. What the hell is love, anyway? It's like poison. When Liam didn't answer, Sylvia began to mumble to herself. Liam, we grew up together. Our parents even arranged for us to be married. Do you remember? We were already engaged. As the sole witness to this scene, Aled found his estimation of Liam rising. He hadn't realized there was so much history here. Liam's expression remained unchanged. He simply watched Sylvia, and even through the hood, he could feel her desperate, hopeful gaze. She was praying that he had amnesia, that he had come to rescue her. But that was a fantasy that would never come true. Sylvia, he began, his voice low. The words that followed were utterly brutal. Your gamble failed. It failed. He didn't have amnesia. How could such a cruel bet ever have paid off? Sylvia froze. Curled in a corner, she looked as if she had been struck by lightning, motionless for a long time. Liam said nothing more, just watched her, finding the situation almost laughable. How could she possibly think time could be reversed? There were no do-overs in this world. The atmosphere in the cell solidified. The once frantic Sylvia suddenly became eerily calm. She lifted her head, and in the total darkness of her hood, her lips curved into a smile. Is that so? She murmured, then let out a laugh, a desolate, hollow sound. So it really was a failure. She spoke to herself, lost in her own world, unable to turn back. Liam didn't know how to describe his current feeling. It was complicated. He didn't dislike Sylvia, nor did he truly hate her. He just found her pathetic, trapped in a world of her own making, completely oblivious to reality. But he couldn't forgive what she had done. No, this wasn't about his forgiveness. If anyone was going to forgive her, it would have to be Chloe. He had no right to do it on Chloe's behalf. His silence was a clear signal that whatever had been between them was now over. But Sylvia still wasn't ready to give up. Liam, answer me honestly. If I had been the first one to find you, would the ending have been different? Liam was taken aback. Even now, that was what she was fixated on. He couldn't hold back any longer. Why are you so obsessed with the past? Can you go back? Does time flow backward in this world? How can you fix what's already happened? And even if I'd lost my memory this time and gotten together with you, what would have happened when I remembered? When I remembered everything you did, do you really think I would forgive you? He spoke more than he ever had, perhaps because he knew he would never see her again. Some things just had to be said. I don't need your forgiveness. I just need you to remember me. Even if it's hate, I want to be the most important person in your heart. The words sounded like they were ground out from between her teeth. If not for the hood, Liam was certain he would have seen a twisted, contorted expression on her face. Is that so? Liam laughed. He looked at her, his smile cruel. Sylvia, I've thought a lot about that obsession of yours since I woke up. I think I have an answer for you now. He watched her coolly. He saw her crawl forward, a posture of extreme anticipation. He spoke. You remember Lawrence Landon, right? The Grandpa Landon you used to talk about. If you had been the one to find me, it would mean I'd have recovered my memories under his roof. We would have gotten engaged, living a life of polite respect under his direction. But do you really think Lawrence Landon ever wanted me to be happy? Lawrence. It had been so long since she'd heard that name. Sylvia had almost forgotten he existed. She muttered the name, then asked Liam, I truly didn't know he was deceiving me. But I'm sure if we had been together, I would have discovered his plan. Did you discover it last time? Liam asked with a smirk. Sylvia fell silent. It was true. There were too many uncertainties back then. She had no idea Lawrence was playing such a long game. But why had he done it? Aren't you a child of the Landon family? Why would he want to see you suffer? Why would he cause you trouble? Sylvia blurted out. It was a question that had plagued her for a long time, and it was a question that had plagued Liam, too. Who knows? Liam said with a shrug, his tone indifferent. I don't know him. Why should I care what he wants? Who was asking? Who cared? Just some stranger. Why waste the energy? If he had to care about everything and question everything, his brain would explode. Just focus on yourself. Everyone's an adult. Who has the time to listen to someone else's sob story? His blunt reply stunned Sylvia. You don't care at all. You don't want to know what his motives were, what he was trying to do. Nope. The answer was clean and sharp. It was the same selfish Liam as before, but now The circle of his selfishness had expanded to include Cassandra, Chloe, and Leo, and the entire Thorne family. Beyond that, no one could command his energy. There was no need, and he had no time. It was the same for everyone. You shouldn't let a few rumors get you down. As the saying goes, if you get angry and hold on to an insult someone throws at you, then that insult keeps hurting you for as long as you remember it. Why waste time and energy on people like that? It's not worth it. Beside him, Aled glanced up. The Lawrence Landon they were talking about was in holding cell 1, right next door. He leaned toward Liam's ear. Mr. Lynn, Lawrence Landon is being held next door. He assumed Liam didn't know, and his unspoken offer was clear. If Liam needed him, he could go get the man right now. But Liam just turned his head. Then let him stay there. Aled was stunned. If he'd heard correctly, this Lawrence Landon was holding secrets central to their whole story. The answer was just a few steps away, yet Liam had absolutely no interest. The reply made Aled suddenly fascinated by Liam. The man truly was different, just as his legendary file suggested. Unpredictable. No wonder two heiresses were so obsessed with him. Ignoring Aled, Liam turned his attention back to Sylvia. I want to take revenge on you, but I can't speak for Chloe. You did whip her, after all. I'll tell her you're here. I won't interfere with whatever she decides to do. As for everything else you've done, the royal family will be the judge. His words were final. In one simple statement, he had declared their relationship completely and utterly over. Yet, even now, Sylvia still hadn't seen his face. Through the hood, she could only hear his voice, but she couldn't see him. As the sounds in the room quieted, Sylvia's eyes flickered, and her lips parted slightly. She looked in Liam's direction, seeming to know the answer already. Liam, she whispered, as if pouring out a lifetime of longing into that single name. Her voice was so faint it was almost inaudible. Liam frowned, watching her dispassionately without speaking. She said, "Can you help me take this off? I just want to see you one last time. One last look. After today, there would be no more chances." She seemed to have accepted her fate. She was anxious, her arms flailing, causing the iron chains on her wrists to rattle and clang. She seemed to be searching for something. Liam narrowed his eyes, watching her but said nothing. After a long search, Sylvia seemed to panic. She tugged at her clothes, pulling her collar open and exposing a wide expanse of pale skin. He wasn't the only one in here. Liam glanced at Aled, who immediately tilted his head back, making a show of seeing nothing. The next second, Sylvia's voice rang out again. "Where's my box? The wooden box I carry with me. Where did you put my wooden box?" "What box?" Liam asked Aled. Aled shook his head. "I don't know. I wasn't on the team that captured her." He looked toward a cabinet by the door, and his eyes lit up. "Is that it?" he asked, pointing. Liam's gaze followed. He saw the carved wooden box. He recognized it. It was the one Sylvia had been clutching during their escape from the Morning Hills. The one where she'd hidden her sedatives. And an envelope. "Bring it here," Liam said softly. Aled nodded and retrieved the box. Sylvia had always held it so tightly. This was the first time Liam had ever touched it. He took it, opened it, and glanced inside. In the carved wooden box, apart from the syringe and the envelope, there was nothing else. "What are you looking for?" Liam asked Sylvia. "Give me the envelope," she cried. Liam paused, then pulled out the envelope. To his surprise, he felt a small bulge at the bottom. Puzzled, he reached inside. It was a necklace. Attached to the chain was a locket. Sylvia had shown him the necklace before, but he'd never paid attention to what was inside the locket. "You're looking for this necklace?" Liam frowned. "Yes, you gave it to me. It has our picture in it." Sylvia suddenly smiled, as if she had accepted her fate. He opened the locket. Inside was indeed a childhood photo of him and Sylvia. A heavy feeling settled in Liam's chest. His emotions were a tangled mess. He didn't know what to say, but he knew this had to end now. "Give her the necklace," he said, handing it to Aled. "Yes, sir." Aled took the necklace, walked over to Sylvia, and placed it in her palm. Clutching it like a precious treasure, Sylvia's hand closed around it, refusing to let go. The curtain had fallen. There was no need for any more words. Liam took one last, long look at Sylvia, then said to Aled, "Get me out of here. Right away, Mr. Lynn." Aled moved to push Liam's wheelchair, but Sylvia's voice, a mixture of despair and hope, rang out one last time. "Liam, you won't even let me see you one last time?" Aled's hand froze. He looked at Liam. He knew what she had done. Arson, murder. All of it. He knew what kind of fate awaited her. One last look didn't seem like too much to ask. But Liam just smiled. "There's nothing to see. Our relationship ended a long time ago, didn't it? The moment you started threatening and hurting my friends, we could never go back to the way we were. There was no going back. What was the point of a last look? It would only give her false hope. And what good was hope without a future? Aled, take me out, Liam commanded, before Sylvia could reply. Aled didn't dare hesitate. He nodded quickly, took the handles of the wheelchair, and pushed Liam out of holding cell 2. Behind them, until the very last moment the door slammed shut, Sylvia's incredulous voice echoed. Just one last look. You won't even grant me that. Liam, you're truly cruel. You've always been so cruel to me. The heavy door closed, cutting off her voice. From that moment on, there was nothing between them. On his way out, Liam glanced subconsciously at holding cell 1. He remembered Aled saying that Lawrence Landon was locked up in there. He also remembered Chloe telling him that after he fell into the sea, the Thorne family had dealt with the Landons. Lawrence had apparently been held by the Thornes, but for some reason, he had been moved here to the royal estate. Perhaps they had some business dealings. Liam really didn't want to think about it anymore. His only thought now was to heal his leg, get back on his feet, and get back to the gym. Then he could carry one in each arm. For now, nothing else mattered. Leaving the royal residence, Aled had already arranged for a luxury SUV to take Liam back to the Stanton estate. Cassandra had been waiting all day. By the time Liam got home, the dining table was already laden with all kinds of dishes. His timing was perfect. You're back early, Cassandra quipped, straightening up from her sprawl on the sofa. Liam glanced around the room and smiled. So you've just been lounging on the sofa all afternoon? What else was I supposed to do? Cassandra shot back with a glare. There's nothing for me to do, so I had no choice but to wait for you. Though her tone was accusatory, she was smiling. As she spoke, she sat up and called out to Evelyn. Evelyn, tell the chef to reheat the food, and call Riley and Chloe down for dinner. Right away, Evelyn replied. It had been 2 hours since they'd left the hospital, and night was falling. Everyone was starving. As she hurried off to make the arrangements, Liam, still by the door, rested his hands on the wheels of his chair. You sent everyone away. Who's going to push me? He teased. Cassandra's lips twitched. She rose gracefully and walked over. How about I push you? That would be great, but I'm worried you'll push me face first into the floor, my lady, he shot back with a grin. The next thing he knew, she'd smacked him lightly on the head. You and your smart mouth. Do I look like that kind of person? Liam, completely shameless, added, a little bit, yeah. You. Cassandra was momentarily speechless. With a huff, she let it go and pushed him into the dining room, taking a seat directly across from him. All right, spill it. What were you up to this afternoon? Meeting his gaze, Cassandra went straight for the jugular. Liam didn't hide anything. I was about to ask you the same thing. How did Lawrence Landon end up locked up in the royal residence? Was that your father's doing? At his question, Cassandra propped her chin on her hand, thinking for a moment. He is. Dad didn't tell me anything about it. Liam was surprised. You didn't know either? How would I know? They don't involve me in any of the family business anymore, she said, a hint of annoyance in her voice. They're afraid I'll get tired and keep finding excuses to keep me out of it. Having been a queen for so long, it was strange to suddenly have all her power taken away. She wasn't used to it, but, considering she didn't need to take care of herself, she didn't press the issue. Seeing Liam lost in thought, she offered, Mom and Dad are staying here tonight. If you're that curious, you can ask them then. Liam was about to nod when he saw Evelyn walk in, looking flustered and excited. Dr. Aiden was right behind her. Miss Sir Dr. Aiden is here, Evelyn announced, her face flushed and her breathing heavy. She was clearly thrilled. Cassandra froze, then tensed up. Dr. Aiden? Is there something wrong with Liam's leg? Liam's heart sank as he looked over. No. Dr. Aiden quickly held up his hands, smiling. His lordship has ordered me to stay with Mr. Lynn for the time being. He's concerned about potential complications and hopes I might stay here. His meaning was clear. He was hoping Cassandra would offer him a place to stay. The Stanton estate had no shortage of rooms. It was a simple matter to prepare one. Cassandra understood immediately. She nodded. Evelyn, I'll leave this to you. Get a room ready for Dr. Aiden, somewhere close to our bedroom. Evelyn couldn't have been happier. She nodded eagerly. Of course, I'll go prepare it right now. Just as she was about to turn and leave, Dr. Aiden called out, Miss Thorne, forgive me for asking, but are you and Mr. Lynn currently sharing a room? The atmosphere instantly became awkward. Cassandra raised an eyebrow. He's my husband. Of course I'm staying with him. Dr. Aiden hesitated for a moment before saying, I would recommend that you two sleep separately for the next week. Mr. Lynn's leg injury has not yet healed, and it would be better for him to rest alone. Cassandra was visibly reluctant, but Liam was all for it. If nothing else, he knew Cassandra's terrible sleeping habits better than anyone. She might roll over and crush him in the middle of the night. His leg was already in this state. Another hit might just finish him off. I think Dr. Aiden has a point. Liam chimed in quickly. Cassandra's face hardened. What's that supposed to mean? You've gotten bold, haven't you? Now you dare to sleep without me. I didn't. My lady, I just think the doctor is right. In our current situation, what if things get heated? Then I'll help you with that. Or you can just exercise a little self-control. I haven't seen you in days. Are you really going to make me sleep alone? That's a different matter. Seeing the two of them squaring off across the dinner table again, Dr. Aiden scratched his head in embarrassment. It was the first time he'd seen patients, two adults, no less, argue with a doctor's orders. But Evelyn, standing beside him, seemed completely used to it. Dr. Aiden leaned over to her. Are they always like this? He whispered. I'm used to it, Evelyn replied, before taking his arm and pulling him toward the door. Don't worry. Their bark is worse than their bite. They'll argue, but by tonight, they'll do as they're told. Is that so? Dr. Aiden murmured, not saying anything more. Following Evelyn to a guest room, she opened the door and instructed a maid to clean it. Dr. Aiden, you can stay in this room for now. Mister, Lynn is just across the hall, and I'm on the floor above. If you need anything, you can come find me. Thank you. Dr. Aiden smiled, then glanced down at Evelyn's hand still gripping his arm. Realizing what she was doing, Evelyn quickly let go, scratching her head. Sorry, I didn't even notice. Her cheeks flushed slightly. He was, after all, an older and more distinguished senior from her field. She cleared her throat. Well, I'll leave you to it. If you need anything, just let the staff know. With that, Evelyn scurried out of the room. Watching her retreat as if she were fleeing for her life, Dr. Aiden couldn't help but chuckle. The people here, it seemed, were not exactly conventional. Dinner started promptly at 7 p.m. Cassandra's parents were still at the royal residence, so it was just the younger crowd at the Stanton estate, free from fussy rules. Cassandra, Liam, Riley, Chloe, Leo, Evelyn, and Haley, it was rare for everyone to be together, and now they had Dr. Aiden as well. It was a celebration for Liam's discharge from the hospital, and the atmosphere was lively. Not long after the meal began, Leo raised his glass to Liam with a request. Liam, there's something I need to ask you and Miss Thorne for help with. To Liam, Leo was an old friend. After everything they'd been through, their bond was stronger than a simple friendship. And to Cassandra, Liam's friends were her own. There was no reason to refuse. Leo, just say it, Liam replied easily. As all eyes turned to him, Leo scratched his head in embarrassment, then took a deep breath and forced the words out. I want to learn how to fight. Like combat skills and stuff. Leo's voice was low, almost lost in the lively atmosphere of the room. He was clearly self-conscious. But the moment the words left his mouth, everyone at the table froze. Liam stared at Leo, then his gaze instinctively shifted to Chloe. In that single glance, he understood. Cassandra, however, raised an eyebrow, looking at Leo with genuine surprise. It wasn't a request she had expected. Leo, why do you want to learn that? If you need protection, just say the word to Palmer. He can assign a couple of guys to you, Evelyn said, confused. Haley nodded in agreement. Learning to fight was something you started as a kid. Leo wasn't young anymore. His body was already set. To start learning now would be much harder than for a child. Dr. Aiden didn't understand the context, but seeing everyone else put down their chopsticks, he followed suit as a polite guest. Leo's eyes flickered toward Chloe, and a blush crept up his cheeks, as if he'd had too much to drink. He stammered, No, I know this might be a strange request. Liam, you've helped me before, give me a lot of money. I know I shouldn't be asking for more, but... He fumbled for words. Then his gaze landed on Chloe, and a new resolve hardened his expression. But I don't want to stand by helpless again while someone I care about gets hurt. He gritted his teeth, his voice firm. Like you, Liam, you have a brilliant mind. You always know what to do. Miss Thorne has power and connections. Evelyn has medical skills. Haley can drive. Riley can lighten any mood. And me, compared to all of you, I feel useless. When someone important is in trouble, I can only stand there and panic. There's nothing I can do. I don't want to be like that anymore. This time, he said a lot, his gaze sweeping across the table, acknowledging almost everyone present. Except for Dr. Aiden, nearly everyone had been mentioned. Dr. Aiden raised his eyebrows. He had been around the wealthy before. As a top-tier doctor, he'd had his share of dealings with the upper class, but it was always fraught with backstabbing and power plays, especially between families. But this circle was different. Here, just over this one meal, he saw a harmony that felt like family. This Liam and Cassandra were the heads of that family. To his surprise, he found the atmosphere here quite pleasant. He couldn't deny that what Leo said was true. Liam silently lifted his teacup and took a sip. He didn't speak, but he understood Leo's motivations perfectly. If it had been Cassandra in danger that day, he would have been even more frantic than Leo. After Liam's previous lecture, Cassandra also seemed to grasp Leo's feelings. The powerlessness of watching someone you love get hurt while you could do nothing. She knew that feeling all too well. However, Chloe seized on the one blind spot in the room. Leo, you praised all of them. What about me? What can I do? The tense atmosphere instantly turned awkward. Leo stammered, unable to form a single word. Liam covered his face with his hand, unable to watch. Cassandra shot an amused glance at Chloe, then at Liam. They really are brother and sister, cut from the same cloth. Good thing Liam has a little more emotional intelligence, or I'd still be chasing him. Riley shook her head, leaned forward with her hands on her hips, and pouted. Hey, Leo, so my only skill is lightening the mood? You call that a compliment? Haley added dryly. I do more than just drive, you know. You could have mentioned I'm efficient and capable. The three women, one after another, completely deflated the emotional momentum Leo had built up. Watching this chaotic scene unfold, Aiden couldn't help but smile. The people here were certainly interesting. Evelyn buried her face in her hands. Seeing the smile on Dr. Aiden's face, she wanted to crawl into a hole. They were making a spectacle of themselves in front of a guest. Liam, you decide, Cassandra said with a smile, her one sentence stabilizing the room. Decide what? I think it's a great idea, Liam said without hesitation. I always wanted Leo to be able to protect Chloe, but we were short on time back then. Now that we have the time, of course he can learn. Leo's face lit up. Really? Liam, you'll really let me train? Liam nodded with a smile, then looked at Cassandra. But finding you a master to teach you, that's a job for Cassandra. For something like this, he couldn't think of anyone more suitable. Cassandra understood perfectly and nodded. I'll have Palmer take you for a few days. You'll start with the basics. But you better be ready. It's going to be brutal at the beginning. Your physical conditioning has to be up to par. No problem. I'll strap on some sandbags and run 5 miles tomorrow, Leo declared, jumping to his feet, full of bravado. 5 miles won't cut it, Cassandra added coolly, clearly enjoying the show. That's not even an appetizer. You'll need at least a week or two of hellish training. Understanding Cassandra's sadistic streak, Liam chimed in with a grin. 10 miles minimum to start. You can run around the estate. If you collapse from exhaustion, we happen to have 2 doctors on hand. Aiden, I'd be happy to be of service. Evelyn, don't worry, Leo. I'll have a few shots of adrenaline ready for you. You can run with peace of mind. Leo, who had just stood up, suddenly wilted. He mumbled, seriously? 10 miles right from the start. He looked down at the paunch he'd acquired over the last few months, and his face fell. Seeing his expression, Riley patted him on the shoulder sympathetically. Leo, you're a brave man. I wouldn't even dare tell my sister I wanted to train. The hell week she planned for me once nearly cost me half my life. Leo's eyes widened, and a shiver ran down his spine. Is it too late to take that back? He murmured. Clearly it was. As elegant classical music began to play softly in the background, he saw Cassandra and Liam exchange a knowing smile, and his legs went cold. Those 2 devils. The dinner party lasted until 9 p.m., and only after Evelyn's insistent nagging did Cassandra finally agree to go to bed. I finally get you back, and now I have to sleep alone. Cassandra pouted at her bedroom door, her hand clinging to Liam's wrist, unwilling to let go. After everything they'd been through, how could she feel at ease? Liam smiled and patted her hand. I'll stay with you. How about I wait until you fall asleep before I go back to my room? Seeing the doting look on his face, the air thick with sweetness, Evelyn sighed silently. She caught Aiden's slightly disapproving glance and quickly shook her head at him. Really? Cassandra's eyes lit up. Of course. My leg is just a surface wound. Your pregnancy is what's most important, he said, then looked at Dr. Aiden. Just staying up a little late won't be a problem, right? Aiden was about to advise proper rest when Evelyn cut in. Staying up for a little while is fine. Just try not to be later than midnight. Okay. Liam nodded with a smile. Delighted with his answer, Cassandra pulled Liam into her bedroom. It was a rare moment alone together. All day, they had only really talked during dinner, and that wasn't nearly enough for her. But she knew his leg was injured and he was staying to keep her company, so she couldn't be too demanding. I'm going to take a shower first. You can just wait here for me. With you by my side, I'm sure I'll fall asleep quickly tonight, she said cheerfully, closing the door and disappearing in the bathroom. Listening to the sound of the running water, Liam smiled and wheeled himself over to the bed. The room was exactly as he'd left it. On the nightstand were the books Cassandra read before bed and a brass-colored, ornately carved lamp that gave the room a vintage feel. Next to the books was her phone. At 9:10 p.m. sharp, the alarm went off. From a bathroom, Cassandra's voice called out, "Liam, can you turn off my alarm?" "Got it," he replied, picking up her phone. The alarm's label read, "Time for bed." After dismissing the alarm, Liam saw her phone's home screen. It was still the picture taken of him during the Hell or Paradise reality show. His profile was magnified, set against the backdrop of the sea. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen that image. He never would have guessed Cassandra had been using it as her background all this time. A wave of nostalgia washed over him. In that moment, it struck him. He and Cassandra didn't have a single photo together. His own phone's gallery had very few pictures of her. If, in the future, when they were old and sitting side by side in wheelchairs, would their memories only exist in the stories they told each other? Just as that thought crossed his mind, Cassandra emerged from the bathroom. She was wrapped in a white robe, her freshly scrubbed skin almost blending in with the fabric. The early stage of her pregnancy was still hidden beneath the robe's folds. She was drying her long, damp hair with a light pink towel. "What are you looking at?" Cassandra asked, walking toward him. The steam from the bathroom followed her, carrying the scent of her body wash and shampoo. "Your phone," Liam said, holding it up with a smile before pressing the button to turn the screen off. Cassandra huffed, her tone petulant. "What's so interesting about my phone? Evelyn won't even let me use it anymore." Because of her pregnancy, and the fact that it had occurred after several nights of drinking, her doctors had advised her to minimize contact with electronic devices for the baby's health. So, for Cassandra, her phone was little more than an alarm clock. Most nights, she read a book before sleeping. Liam knew this, but couldn't resist teasing her. "Just checking to see if you have any secrets you're hiding from me." "What secrets could I possibly have?" Cassandra retorted, holding the towel with one hand and extending the other toward Liam. "You on the other hand." Looking at her slender white hand, Liam was confused. "What?" "Hand over your phone." "You checked mine, so it's only fair I check yours for secrets," Cassandra declared, as if it were the most logical thing in the world. Liam chuckled helplessly, took his phone from his pocket, and dutifully handed it over. "Here you go, my lady. If you can find anything, I'll be seriously impressed." "We'll see about that," Cassandra muttered, taking the phone without ceremony. She sat on the edge of the bed and began to scroll. The moment the screen lit up, she frowned. "Negative review. Your wallpaper isn't me." Liam threw his hands up. "My lady, why don't you check the photo album? There isn't a single picture of you in there." Cassandra glanced at it, her lips forming a pout. It seemed she had indeed checked the gallery and found only a few meaningless screenshots. "Fine," she mumbled. She tossed the phone aside. "Whatever. I'm done looking. It hurts my eyes." "Huh? You're done already?" "Yeah. What's there to see? We're together now. I have to respect your privacy, right?" It was a rare thing to hear from her. Liam couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder. It was truly a miracle. Cassandra was genuinely trying to be better, to trust him. A warmth spread through his chest. He picked up his phone and put it back in his pocket. "I was just thinking," he said casually, "we should go take some pictures together in a few days." Cassandra froze. "Pictures?" "Yeah," Liam confirmed with a smile. "I can't go to school right now anyway, and I don't have much to do at home. I thought we could use this time to take some photos. I want us to have memories." His words hung in the air, and the temperature in the room seemed to rise. It wasn't just about taking pictures. It was about who he was taking them with and why. Suddenly, Cassandra felt a prickling sensation in her nose. She looked at Liam for a long moment, then turned away to continue drying her hair, her voice muffled. "Okay, let's go take pictures then. And not just pictures. We can make some videos, too. Anything you want to shoot." Cassandra murmured a soft, and her eyes darted around the room. "We'll have Haley arrange it. She took photography as an elective in college. We can have her bring in a few professionals, too. The weather's been nice lately. It's a good time for photos." After he helped her dry her hair, Cassandra obediently climbed into bed. Liam sat by her side, holding her hand, and coaxed her to sleep. Just as she predicted, she was asleep in no time. It seemed she hadn't had a peaceful night's rest in a long time. She clung to his hand, and soon, the soft, steady sound of her breathing filled the room. Watching her sleep, Liam tucked the covers around her, waited a few more moments, then quietly wheeled himself out. When he opened the door, Evelyn and Dr. Aiden were chatting in the hallway. Seeing Liam, Evelyn quickly put a finger to her lips. She tiptoed into the room, turned off the lamp, and gently closed the door behind her before letting out a long sigh of relief. "The miss hasn't slept this early in days. It really only works when you're here, Mr. Lynn," she said with a sigh. Liam glanced at the time. It was just past 10. "You two should have gone to bed. You didn't have to wait for me." "Absolutely not." The monarch's orders were to look after you at all times, Dr. Aiden said firmly, shaking his head. His response surprised Liam. Dr. Aiden, with your status, aren't there a lot of patients out there waiting for you? He asked. The implication was clear. I have a doctor here already, and this is just post-op recovery. There's no need for you to be tied to me. Hearing this, Evelyn glanced at Dr. Aiden. She was thinking the same thing. Dr. Aiden seemed surprised that Liam would say such a thing. Most people, even royals and dignitaries, would be desperate to keep a famous doctor by their side for as long as possible, no matter the illness. But Liam almost seemed to be rejecting him. Dr. Aiden's eyes widened slightly. Seeing his unconcealed astonishment, Liam understood. Honestly, I don't really need you to watch over me. Evelyn is an excellent doctor herself. It's just post-operative recovery. You should get back to your work as soon as possible. He knew his own body. His leg was broken. It just needed time to heal. There was no need to tie down a top-tier specialist. Dr. Aiden wasn't like Evelyn. She was a family physician, while he was a doctor for the masses. Liam wasn't some precious mascot that required the royal family's undivided attention. Although Evelyn felt a pang of disappointment, she couldn't deny the truth in what Liam said. At that moment, she couldn't help but look at Liam with renewed respect. She hadn't expected him to have that kind of awareness. Dr. Aiden, however, just smiled and shook his head. No need. To be honest, I haven't had a vacation in a long time. I agreed to come take care of you because the monarch ordered me to, but on the other hand, I'm also taking this opportunity to have a break. During dinner, he had sensed that the atmosphere here was good. Looking after a patient in a manner like this was practically a vacation. By saying this, he was giving Liam a graceful way out, while also showing his respect. For a man who could say what Liam had just said, Dr. Aiden felt a genuine admiration. Is that so? Liam nodded, not pressing the issue. But there was one more thing he didn't understand. Dr. Aiden, I have another question for you. Mr. Lin, please ask. I want to know why the monarch sent you to watch over me. This was the question that had been baffling Liam. The conversation with the monarch and princess at the royal residence after his discharge. Why would people of their status raise such a private topic as being an adopted son in front of him? If it was just because of the Thorns, the possibility seemed too small. The Thorns were powerful, but the royal family was not weak. A conflict would benefit no one, but there was no need to curry favor to this extent. Business was business. If a dispute arose, it would be the people below them who suffered. He felt there was more to it than that. As his question hung in the air, Evelyn instinctively looked for an excuse to leave. After years with Cassandra, she had become an expert at reading a room. She knew this was not a conversation for her ears. But just as she was about to make her escape, she heard Dr. Aiden's cheerful reply. Mr. Lin, I think you'd be better off asking the monarch that question directly. How would I know what he's thinking? Liam looked at him intently and knew he wasn't lying. He nodded. True. I think you're right about that. The slightly convoluted phrasing almost tripped Dr. Aiden up. His brain took a moment to untangle it. Beside them, Evelyn glanced at the time. Mr. Lin, you should get back to your room and rest. It's getting late. All right. Liam nodded, then glanced out at the large garden. Have Mr. and Mrs. Thorn not returned yet? Evelyn replied. The master and mistress are staying in the rooms prepared for them at the royal residence tonight. They won't be back until tomorrow afternoon. Okay, I understand. Liam wheeled himself toward his room. I'll head back to rest then. But Dr. Aiden, could you give me a hand? Of course. Dr. Aiden nodded and stepped forward to push the wheelchair, guiding Liam into his room. After helping him onto the bed, he said, Well, Mr. Lin, if you need to use the restroom during the night, just press the bell next to you, and I'll come help. No, you should get some rest too. Liam had almost forgotten about the logistics of going to the bathroom until Dr. Aiden's reminder. He was a grown man. He could control his bladder. It wasn't like he was paralyzed from the waist down. Thank God it's not paralysis. The thought sent a wave of relief through him. Thank God. Fate was still looking out for him. The next morning, with Dr. Aiden's help, Liam successfully completed his morning trip to the bathroom. The moment he left his bedroom, he heard Palmer's voice booming from outside. He was blasting high-energy DJ music for Leo from a large speaker. Chloe stood at the front door, sleepy-eyed and barely awake, stifling a yawn as she greeted him. Morning, brother. Liam's eyes twinkled. Not bad. Chloe was actually up to watch Leo's torture session. It seemed there was real hope for those two. But now wasn't the time for that. He wheeled himself over to her side. Chloe, there's something I need to tell you. Chloe rubbed her eyes and turned to him, confused. What is it, brother? It's about Sylvia Shaw. Liam's gaze hardened as he looked outside. She's being held by the royal family in a subterranean cell. I went to see her yesterday, and made things clear. But what she did to you, I think that's her decision to make. Instantly, the atmosphere grew quiet. Chloe froze, her brow furrowing as she instinctively touched her arm. It was still wrapped in gauze, the bandage covering nearly its entire length. What are you two talking about? Cassandra's voice, laced with displeasure, cut through the air. They both turned to see her walking towards them, her expression dark. Liam froze. He'd been so engrossed in his conversation with Chloe that he hadn't noticed Cassandra approaching. Had she heard everything? Nothing. Chloe reacted instantly, running over to Cassandra's side with a bright, innocent smile. Sister-in-law, I was just telling my brother about visiting home. My grandparents and my mom are back there, and I haven't seen them in so long. I really miss them. At that, the tension in Cassandra's brow eased. She glanced at Liam, her voice cool. If you want to go back, then go. I don't have much to do during this time anyway. I might as well go with you. Chloe was taken aback. Huh? You're coming with us too, sister-in-law? What? Am I not welcome? Cassandra replied, shooting a pointed look at Liam. Of course you are. Chloe quickly backtracked. I couldn't be happier. If you come with us, that would be wonderful. My grandparents would be thrilled. Oomph. Cassandra lifted her chin, her gaze fixed on Liam. Why didn't you come wake me when you got up? She grumbled. You're pregnant. You need your rest. Why would I wake you? Isn't it better to let you sleep in? Liam answered with a smile. His words seemed to placate her. She yawned. Then have Evelyn make the arrangements. We'll leave tomorrow. Tomorrow? That's soon. Not just Chloe, but Liam was surprised as well. Yes. The sooner we go, the sooner we can put this matter to rest, Cassandra said. It was obvious whose matter she was referring to. All right, Chloe, you and Leo should request a few days off from school. We'll all go back together. It's been a while since I've been back in the country. Liam agreed quickly, knowing Cassandra was impulsive and hated dragging things out. Chloe nodded. Okay, the day after tomorrow is the weekend anyway, so Leo and I only need to take 2 days off. And so it was settled. Seeing Cassandra's hand rest on Liam's shoulder, Chloe's eyes darted back and forth. Well then, brother, sister-in-law, I'll let you two talk. I'm just going to go get a bottle of water for Leo. She wasn't about to stick around and be the third wheel. Go on, Cassandra said. She leaned down, resting her chin on the top of Liam's head. A few stray strands of his soft hair brushed against her lips, making her feel a pleasant tickle. Liam said nothing, watching Chloe's stumbling retreat with an amused smile. Once she was gone, he couldn't help but speak. Cassandra, when do you think Chloe will finally figure out how Leo feels about her? How should I know? I'm not a mind reader, Cassandra retorted, her expression darkening slightly. Then her tone shifted. But before she figures that out, there's something else I want to talk to you about. What's that? Sylvia Shaw. The name came out without hesitation. She had wanted to talk to him about this for a while. Yesterday, Liam had gone to the royal residence alone. It was obvious he had seen Sylvia there. Though he hadn't mentioned it upon his return, she had waited, wanting him to tell her himself. But now it was the next day, and she was growing impatient. Her. Liam paused, looking up. He saw the dark silk of Cassandra's hair brush past his vision. He smiled faintly. That's over. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to get angry over her again. Why would I be angry? Cassandra raised an eyebrow. When we got married, I invited the Shaw family. I showed them mercy on your behalf. You did? Liam was stunned. He had never heard anyone mention this before. I thought she would have given up. I never expected her to turn out like this. But if you're thinking about repaying her for past kindnesses, don't bother. I already took care of it for you, Cassandra said matter-of-factly. It was the truth. Anyone who dared to touch her man would face the consequences. The Landon family was the prime example, and their fate was clear. The only reason she hadn't touched the Shaw family was because of the kindness they had once shown Liam. With that history between them, she was willing to consider his feelings. Listening to her words, Liam was stunned. Other than marrying him while he was dead, this was the first he'd heard of this. She had done so much for him behind the scenes. First Chloe, now Cassandra. And outside, Leo was pushing himself to become stronger for them. Liam couldn't help but smile. He wondered what he had ever done to deserve so many people who were willing to do so much for him. For the first time, he felt truly protected, trusted by those he trusted. It was a powerful, reciprocal feeling. He smiled. Thank you, Cassandra, he said, his voice a little hoarse, but it didn't stop him. You repaid a debt for me once. Chloe did it again. I did it once more. The Shaw family is in the past now. From this moment on, the page was turned. Sylvia Shaw would never be an obstacle between them again. His connection to the Shaw family was severed. Cassandra hummed lazily. She stood up and stretched. Let's go get some breakfast. Mom and Dad should be back soon. Liam smiled. Okay, Around noon, Caleb and Catherine Thorne, who had been gone for over a day, finally appeared at the Stanton estate. As always, Catherine wore a luxurious, form-fitting green silk dress, every movement a picture of high society elegance. Caleb was in a sharp, ink-black suit. Standing together, they looked like a matching set, with no trace of age on them. The moment she saw him, Catherine rushed over and knelt in front of Liam, her voice full of concern. "Liam, how's your leg? You have no idea. When I heard you were hurt, I was worried sick." Hearing the term of endearment, Cassandra's eyes flickered from her seat on the sofa, but she said nothing. Catching Cassandra's calm expression, Liam understood and smiled back. "I'm fine now. It just needs some time to heal. It's nothing serious. That Shaw girl, how could she push someone down a mountain? If your uncle hadn't stopped me, I would have slapped her myself." Catherine fumed, then turned to Cassandra. "Cassandra, how are you? It's been so long. Mommy missed you so much." Hearing her mother's dramatic pronouncements, Cassandra snorted, about to retort when Riley came bounding down the stairs. "Mommy, you haven't seen me in ages either. Why don't you miss me?" Riley stood with her hands on her hips, her little mouth pouting as she glared at her mother. Caught off guard by her sudden appearance, Catherine stammered, "What are you talking about, dear? You're both my daughters. How could I not miss you? I just didn't see you come down." "Umph." Riley snorted, lifting her head proudly. The next second, Caleb smacked her lightly on the back of the head. "Hey, you little brat. Is that any way to talk to your mother?" It was just a joke, but Riley's face crumpled as if she'd taken a real blow. She looked at Catherine with teary eyes. "Mommy, why is Daddy being so mean?" Catherine frowned disapprovingly. "Caleb, what are you doing? Why would you hit our daughter?" Hearing his own wife chastise him, Caleb quickly raised his hands in surrender. "I'm innocent. I just tapped her gently. I'd never really hit our daughter." Behind Catherine's back, Riley made a face at her father. "Good grief, they're just playing around." Liam watched Riley with a helpless smile. The girl was a real character. Knowing it was all an act, Catherine didn't scold her further. She took Riley's hand. "Let Mommy have a look. Have you been slacking on your skincare again? Look, you're breaking out." "Where? Am I?" Riley panicked, whipping out her phone and turning on the front-facing camera to inspect her face. She mumbled, "It's my sister's fault. She never lets me go out. I don't even get any sun, and she feeds me all this rich food. Of course I'm breaking out." Seemingly unfazed by this display of theatrical pouting, Cassandra raised an eyebrow and took a sip of tea from the coffee table. Catherine cradled Riley's face with a look of pure sympathy. "You can't blame your sister. We're not at home. She's just worried something might happen to you." She took Riley's hand. "Come on, Mommy will take you for a spa day. We'll give your face a good treatment." Watching the two of them start to chatter, Caleb walked straight over to Liam. "Liam, I need to talk to you about something." "Alone?" Liam glanced at Cassandra, who showed no reaction, seemingly giving her tacit approval. He nodded. "All right, should we go to the bedroom?" "Yes." Caleb nodded and moved behind Liam's wheelchair. "Let's go. I'll push you." Having no reason to refuse, Liam let Caleb wheel him into the bedroom. Once the door was closed, Caleb's gaze fell on Liam, his expression filled with self-reproach. "Liam, your leg. Is it really okay?" "It's fine." The monarch brought in a renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Aiden. "He's staying here now. It's just a broken bone. It'll heal after some rest," Liam replied with a smile, giving him an update on the situation. Caleb visibly relaxed, his relief palpable. He looked at Liam with an apologetic expression and sat down on the sofa across from him. "This whole thing was my fault. You trusted me, and I failed to protect you. You got hurt because of me. It's my responsibility." Liam was surprised that Caleb was taking the blame, but it only proved how much he valued him, how much he truly considered him family. "It's all right, Uncle," Liam said quickly. "This had nothing to do with you. I honestly didn't expect Sylvia to go that far. But it's all in the past now. I just need to focus on healing my leg. No one is to blame." Caleb looked at Liam with deep gratitude. He knew that after what had happened in the past, Cassandra's trust in him and his wife was already thin. Now, for something this major to happen on his watch, Liam, his future son-in-law, had confided in him, and yet he had failed to protect him, and had even deceived Cassandra. For days, he had been thinking of how to make it up to him. But hearing these words, he felt he hadn't misjudged the young man. Liam's character was beyond reproach. "You're right. No one is to blame," Caleb said, relieved. He looked at Liam. "So, Liam, have you thought about when you and Cassandra will have another wedding?" "Huh?" Liam was stunned. The topic had jumped so fast, he almost couldn't keep up. "Last time, Cassandra insisted on marrying you. We invited Catherine's parents, but they thought it was bad luck and refused to come. Now that you two are together, you naturally need to have a proper ceremony, Caleb said, stroking his chin as he stared intently at Liam. He had it all figured out. As Victor's son, once Liam married his daughter, he would completely step back and hand over the family business to him. He had previously thought Liam was too young and needed more experience, but after the last few incidents, he had seen Liam's judgment and character clearly. He had no reservations about entrusting his daughter to him. As for compensation, what could be more fitting than handing over the entire Thorne family fortune? Liam was completely unaware of Caleb's thoughts. He only heard the suggestion of another wedding, and he agreed. But not now. He had already made a promise to Cassandra. Glancing down at his leg, Liam said, "Let's wait until my leg is healed. I've already talked to Cassandra about it. This time, I'll be the one to plan the wedding. I promise I'll give her a ceremony she'll be happy with." Caleb was very satisfied with this answer. He nodded. "Good. You two can discuss it, then just let us know in advance. We'll be waiting for our invitation." "Of course," Liam nodded, and the two men shared a smile. Caleb took a sip from his cup and changed the subject again. "By the way, Liam, the royal family is holding a banquet in a few days. All sorts of influential people will be there. Charles sent word that he wants me to invite you." "A royal banquet?" Liam was taken aback. He had no real connection to the royal family, other than through Caleb. Why were they inviting him now? "Charles seems to hold you in very high regard. He spoke to me privately at the banquet yesterday and insisted that you attend." "I don't know much more than that," Caleb said calmly, taking a long sip of his tea. The meaning was clear: to have a world-renowned surgeon assigned to Liam's side. That level of favor was beyond anything Caleb had imagined. But from what he could see, Charles's attitude was one of esteem, not hostility. "I see." Liam thought for a moment, then asked, "When is the banquet?" 5 days from now," Caleb replied. "It happens to fall on Thanksgiving. Charles said the holiday has a good meaning, so he wants to hold the banquet on that day. The UK didn't traditionally celebrate Thanksgiving, but to hold a special banquet for him on that day." Liam didn't know what to make of it. He remembered that Charles had invited him to a banquet before, an invitation he had declined. He hadn't expected a second offer. Since Charles had just helped him, it would be difficult to refuse this time. But if it was Thanksgiving, he was supposed to be visiting his grandparents. He was sure the two elders would want them to stay and celebrate. For Liam, it would be the first time meeting his own family. On a holiday like Thanksgiving, he didn't want to disappoint them. So he could only say, "If it's on Thanksgiving, I'm not sure I can make it. I'm planning to go home with Cassandra tomorrow. I want to see Chloe's grandparents." His grandparents, too. Caleb paused. If Liam hadn't mentioned it, he would have forgotten that Liam had family of his own. It was an oversight on his part. As Victor's old comrade, he had failed in his duty. After Liam returned, he had been so focused on Liam himself that he had completely forgotten Victor had a father and mother-in-law. A flicker of sorrow crossed Caleb's eyes. "I understand," he said, his voice low as old memories surfaced. He thought for a moment, then pulled a gold card from his pocket and handed it to Liam. "Here, Liam, take this card. When you go see them, buy whatever the two elders need. Consider it a token of friendship from the Thorne family." He made it clear it wasn't from Liam, but a separate gesture from his family. Liam understood it was Caleb's personal sentiment. He didn't refuse taking the card. "All right, on behalf of my grandparents, thank you, Uncle." "Nonsense. What's there to be formal about? Once you marry Cassandra, we'll all be one family. In a few years, you and Cassandra can give me and Catherine a few grandbabies, and we can finally retire." Caleb waved his hand dismissively, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. The first part of the sentence was fine, but the last part sent a shiver down Liam's spine. Seeing Caleb's wicked smile, he was just glad they didn't know Cassandra was pregnant yet. Otherwise, with Catherine's personality, it would be an endless storm of shopping sprees and frantic preparations. The next day, as arranged by Caleb, Liam, Cassandra, Chloe, and Haley boarded a private jet back to the States. Crossing the Atlantic, the plane touched down at Black Lake Manor. The familiar scenery appeared before Liam's eyes once again. Maria had been informed of their return in advance and had already instructed the staff to clean the entire villa from top to bottom. She had also prepared a lavish feast. Seeing the familiar scene, Liam couldn't help but feel a wave of emotion. Things were so different now. He remembered when he first arrived at Black Lake Manor. He was filled with hostility towards Cassandra, and now she was his wife. Fate was a strange thing. As he was helped off the plane, Haley pushed his wheelchair while Cassandra stood by his side, their hands intertwined, a picture of intimacy. Seeing this, Maria, who hadn't seen Cassandra in a long time, covered her mouth, her eyes welling up with tears. "Maria, long time no see," Cassandra said with a smile, clearly in a good mood. Compared to her former domineering self, she now had a softer, gentler air about her. The greeting sent a jolt through Maria. She stared at her missus, her expression one of utter disbelief, as if she were seeing a ghost. Seeing Maria speechless with shock, Haley chuckled. "Maria, what's wrong? Aren't you happy the miss is back?" "Happy? Of course I'm happy. It's just been so long since I've seen her, Maria stammered, too emotional to form a complete sentence. Her gaze fell on Cassandra and Liam's linked hands, and she began to cry with joy. "You two finally got together. This is wonderful. I knew our miss could win him over." The comment made Liam's lips twitch in an awkward smile. Cassandra, however, just lifted her chin proudly, clearly pleased by the remark. She surveyed the villa and nodded in satisfaction. "Looks good. You worked hard, Maria. Haley, give Maria a nice bonus for Thanksgiving in a few days." The Thorne family had always been good to their staff, with bonuses and gifts for every holiday. But for Cassandra to personally say the word bonus was a first. It clearly meant she intended it to be a big one. Haley suddenly felt a pang of jealousy. Seeing Cassandra in a good mood, she had a flash of inspiration. "Miss, does that mean I get a big bonus too?" Cassandra raised an eyebrow and uttered a single, magnanimous word. "Granted." Haley's heart leaped with excitement. She eagerly pushed Liam into the house. Behind them, Chloe was also filled with emotion. After the Landon family's downfall, she and Leo had stayed here for a while. It had become a second home to them. Now, returning again, the sense of familiarity was overwhelming. "Sister-in-law, am I staying in my old room?" Chloe asked, trailing behind Cassandra. "Whatever you want. Just let Maria know if you need anything," Cassandra said with a stretch, then looked at Liam. "When are you two planning to head over? After lunch? Or, Chloe, have you contacted our grandparents yet?" Liam asked. Chloe shook her head. "Not yet. I wanted to surprise them." Liam nodded and made a decision. "Then let's go now. We don't have much time together as it is. We can rest here for a bit, then head out." "Okay." Seeing Liam's eagerness, Cassandra didn't object. She just looked at him and said, "You two go ahead today. I'm going to rest in my room for a bit. I'm tired from the flight." Though she and Liam were together, this was his first time meeting his family. He would surely have a lot to say to them. She didn't want to intrude on their reunion. Her sudden words made Liam pause. He stared at her, instantly understanding the meaning behind them. He smiled and patted her hand. "All right, Chloe and I will go today. Tomorrow, I'll come back and get you. I'll bring you to meet my family. Bring you to meet my family." It was more moving than any love poem. Staring into Liam's earnest face, Cassandra's heart skipped a beat. She crossed her arms, feigning arrogance, and sniffed. "Then I'll be waiting for you at home." Under Maria's direction, they had only eaten a few desserts. Cassandra, who hadn't been hungry to begin with, took a few polite bites before heading to her room to rest. Haley pulled the luxury SUV around, ready to take Liam and Chloe to Boston. The ride was quiet. Chloe's mood was a tangled mess of excitement and overwhelming emotion. So much had happened to her since she'd left this place. The silence in the car was thick enough to touch. Liam watched her as she stared out the window, her gaze lost in the passing scenery. "What's on your mind?" he asked softly. Chloe started, turning to him with a dazed look. She sighed. "Just thinking about when I first left." She turned back to the window, a nostalgic haze in her eyes. "I used to wonder what it would be like when I came back. Ever since I graduated college, I always imagined I'd be some kind of boss, savvy businesswoman, you know? The type who has it all together. I'd roll back into town, see Grandpa and Grandma, and move them into the city with our mom. We'd all be together, happy every single day." As she spoke, her nose began to prickle, and her eyes reddened against her will. Listening to her, Liam felt a pang of empathy. It was true. For most people, that was the dream, a simple, happy life with family. He'd once wanted the same thing. But time had a way of changing things, showing him a world he'd never imagined. He understood her feelings. As an ordinary person, all you really wanted was to make your family proud. A glint appeared in his eyes. He smiled. "You still can, you know?" "Huh." Chloe turned, confused. "I mean, if you want that kind of grand entrance, I can have Haley arrange it. We can hire a few people. Maybe a marching band? What do you think?" Liam suggested. No. Chloe waved her hands frantically. "Absolutely not. I only have this chance because of you and Cassandra. Besides, this trip is about you, Brother Liam. I can't steal your thunder. We're family." "It's not about stealing anyone's thunder," Liam said with a gentle smile. How could it be? In their grandparents' eyes, both he and Chloe were the main characters. It was the same for every family in the world. "Still, no," she insisted. "You've been away for so long. They're going to be so excited to see you. You're my rock, Brother Liam. You're irreplaceable." Everyone is irreplaceable to someone, Liam thought. For a fleeting moment, Cassandra's face flashed in his mind. He glanced out the window, deliberately changing the subject. It's a shame Leo couldn't make it. At the mention of Leo's name, Chloe's expression fell, and her voice grew quiet. I actually told him I was coming home, but what about him? I don't know what's gotten into him, Chloe complained. He said it wasn't the right time for him to meet my family. Said he wanted to wait until he was more successful before he came back with me. Seeing Chloe's genuine confusion, Liam fell silent. Did all lovers lose themselves in the haze of their own emotions? Leo's message couldn't have been more obvious, yet Chloe had missed it completely. Liam raised an eyebrow, studying her face. He had a sinking feeling that Leo's journey was going to be even longer and more arduous than his own. In that case, as a friend and a brother, he had to help him out. Chloe, he said directly, are you really this clueless, or are you just playing dumb? It's completely obvious what he meant. How can you not see it? Chloe blinked. Huh? What's obvious? Brother, what are you talking about? Liam sighed, shaking his head in mock despair. From the driver's seat, Haley, who had been listening quietly, couldn't hold it in any longer. Chloe, Leo likes you. Can't you see that? Chloe froze, her world screeching to a halt. She slowly turned her head to look in the rearview mirror, where Haley's exasperated face was reflected. Her voice was strained. Wait, likes me? Haley, are you saying Leo likes me? She was practically trembling, completely unable to process the idea. Yes, Haley exclaimed. We can all see it. He's been into you for ages. Why else do you think he asked Cassandra and Liam to teach him how to fight? When you were kidnapped, Liam wouldn't let him come back to the manor, and he was so frantic he just paced around the hotel lobby all day. He nearly blew up my phone calling to ask how you were. Like a dam breaking, Haley finally let out all the words she'd been holding back. Liam remained quiet, watching Chloe calmly. Chloe's eyes were wide, her face a mask of utter disbelief. But she stammered, unable to form a complete sentence. Her voice trailed off into a weak whisper. But how is that possible? Haley looked like she was about to lose her mind. How is it not possible? Just think about what he said. He's more nervous about meeting your parents than you are. What is that if not love? Chloe was stunned into silence, a statue in the back seat. Liam's tone was softer than Haley's. He smiled at her gently. Chloe, is it possible you don't have feelings for him? That's okay, you know. It's his business if he likes you. If you don't feel the same way, you don't have to force anything. Just let things happen naturally. At that, Chloe whipped her head around, her voice suddenly urgent. No, that's not it. I do not like him. She abruptly looked down, her cheeks flushing a deep red, the color of a ripe apple, a blush that spread all the way to the tips of her ears. Seeing this, Liam knew. Haley, too, understood, and a small, knowing smile played on her lips as she looked down. Liam said no more. The rest of the drive was peaceful. Chloe stared out the window, her thoughts a million miles away. But the blush on her cheeks never faded, as if it had been painted there, making her look exceptionally sweet. After about 2 hours, they finally reached the P13.She neighborhood in Quincy. The single asphalt road connecting the neighborhood to the main highway rarely saw luxury SUVs, so their arrival immediately drew a crowd of onlookers. A group of old-timers, finished with their lunch and afternoon naps, were gossiping at the edge of the neighborhood, all of them speculating about which family's kid had made it big and come home. Following Chloe's directions, Haley parked the car in front of a simple 2-story house. Chloe pushed open the large iron gate to the yard. The whole space was immaculate, but different from the last time Liam had been here. In a corner, a big yellow dog was tied up near 3 large roosters. Seeing people arrive, the dog immediately started barking its head off, but no one came out of the house. Chloe walked in like she owned the place, put her hands on her hips, and scolded the dog. Hey you, what are you barking for? I'm your little mistress. You better be nice to me, or I'll have Grandpa and Grandma punish you with no treats for a day. The dog didn't back down, just barked louder. Chloe bared her teeth, putting on a show of mock threats. Watching the scene, Liam couldn't help but laugh. She was the same as ever, full of childish energy. Mr. Lynn, should I just wait in the car? Haley asked, rolling down her window. Liam nodded. Yes, stay here for now. Come join us for dinner later. Okay. Haley nodded back, rolling the window up but leaving a small crack. Liam looked around the house, but still, no one came out. He turned to Chloe. Where are Grandpa and Grandma? Chloe, still arguing with the dog, looked up from her phone. They should be at the factory this time of day. It's not far. Want to walk over and see? Hold on, Liam said, stopping her as she moved toward a moped parked nearby. Let's go buy some groceries first. It's almost time for dinner. We can cook and have it ready for when they get back. Okay, people eat early around here, Chloe agreed. For convenience, she still wheeled the moped out. Haley, what do you want to eat? I'm going out to get groceries, she shouted toward the SUV before leaving. Haley, who had been scrolling on her phone, jolted upright and quickly rolled down the window. She saw the moped Chloe was pushing and her mouth twitched. Chloe, maybe we should just drive? You can't carry much on that thing. Liam thought for a moment. She had a point. It had been a long time since he'd been back. He couldn't show up empty-handed. I haven't ridden a scooter in ages, Chloe insisted, shaking her head and hopping onto the seat. You guys don't get it. I want to ride this. To be honest, Liam, who also hadn't ridden one in years, felt a pang of envy. After living a life of luxury, all you wanted was a taste of nostalgia. But with his leg, it was impossible. All right, here's the plan, Liam said. Haley, you drive. Let Chloe ride the scooter. We'll meet at the farmer's market in Quincy. Haley didn't understand, but she didn't object. Okay, she said. The two parties set off. Chloe's riding skills were solid. Even on a stretch of dirt road, she kept her balance perfectly. Several villagers saw her, and word spread quickly. As the factory owner's granddaughter who had grown up in the village, Chloe's appearance became the talk of the town. The news soon reached the factory. P13.She was just sitting down for a cup of tea when one of the village kids ran in, grinning. Grandpa-She, Chloe's back. Chloe's back. George shot up, hastily putting down his teacup. Martha-She, who was in the back kitchen preparing the communal meal, heard the commotion and rushed out. Honey, Chloe's back? Chloe just rode out on her scooter, the child said happily. And there was a big black SUV following her, with a big brother inside. A big brother? Martha froze. Honey, do you think it could be the boy she told us about, the one who helped her at work? It could be. George's face lit up. He scrambled to clear the table. Martha, let's hurry it up today. The kids are probably out buying groceries to make us a celebratory feast. In their world, a feast like that meant only one thing, a joyous occasion. Based on what Chloe had told them last time, George and Martha had been thinking about it ever since. This was it. The two kids were finally getting engaged. The two of them could barely contain their excitement. Martha rubbed her hands together. Okay, I haven't put the rice on yet. We won't cook today. We'll eat at home when we get back. Right. And you tell everyone to come over to our house for a party tomorrow. George was ecstatic. Chloe's marriage had been a huge weight on their minds, and now it was about to be settled. How could they not be happy? With that thought, he pulled a lollipop from his pocket and handed it to the little messenger. At the Quincy Farmers Market, since it was Thanksgiving, the shops were all decked out with holiday gift boxes, creating a festive, bustling atmosphere. Seeing such a familiar scene, Liam was filled with emotion. He remembered his college days, when supermarkets would be filled with the same displays, with owners blaring advertisements from loudspeakers. It was a kind of boisterous energy unique to American holidays. Thankfully, it wasn't a weekend, so the market wasn't too crowded. What should we get? Haley asked, hopping out of the car and pulling off her sunglasses as Chloe approached. After being helped out of the car, Liam looked around. Thanksgiving gift boxes are a must. And we need groceries. Chicken, duck, fish, the works. Hey, Chloe, is that big fridge we bought you still at the house? It's there, in the living room, she replied. We left in such a hurry, I don't know if it's full. If not, we'll buy another one, Liam declared. See what else the house needs, or what Grandpa and Grandma might want. We'll get it all. Today was a day for spending. As for moving his grandparents out of the village, he'd have to ask their opinion first. Many older people were used to their homes and didn't want to move. Okay, Chloe nodded and began to shop seriously. They avoided overly sugary gifts. Most of the people in the village were middle-aged or older, so besides some festive pies, they bought powdered milk, health supplements, and all kinds of fruits and nuts. They bought a little of everything, and soon the SUV was more than half full. Things are so much cheaper here, Haley remarked, carrying several large bags as she watched Liam pay. In New York, all this would cost at least $300 or $400. It's not bad, Chloe chimed in, though it's more expensive than when I was a kid. This box of apples is $80 now. Back then, you couldn't give them away for $50. Liam smiled and pointed toward the market stalls. Okay, Haley and I'll go pick out some meat and vegetables and buy some eggs. Chloe, you go to that clothing store over there and buy Grandpa and Grandma some new clothes. Full outfits and get a few sets. Okay, Chloe agreed. But brother, with all that stuff, can you and Haley carry it all? She glanced down worriedly at Liam's legs. Liam couldn't help but laugh. Your brother's a man, isn't he? Besides, if we can't carry it, we'll just hire a few people to help. After buying so much, most vendors would even offer delivery. And buying clothes was a job best left to Chloe. With time being short, it was best to divide and conquer. Don't worry, I've got his back. Haley flexed her arm with a smile. Only then did Chloe relax. All right, I'll go get the clothes. I'll meet you back here. They split up. Just like last time, Liam went on a spending spree. As he'd said, they spent so much at each shop that carrying everything was an issue. Haley just had the vendors load it all directly into the SUV. Before long, the car was overflowing with gifts and groceries. As they were leaving the market, Chloe emerged from the clothing store, her hands full of bags, which she crammed into the car. "Good thing Haley drove this big car today," Chloe said with a laugh as she climbed in. "Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to fit everything. Cassandra knew you'd be buying a lot. She told me to take this car last night," Haley replied from the driver's seat. Liam paused. Yesterday? That meant while they were still in the UK, Cassandra was already thinking about today. "Brother, Cassandra is so thoughtful," Chloe marveled from beside him. "She even thought of that." Liam just smiled, not saying anything more. Back in the P13.She neighborhood, the news that Chloe had returned with her boyfriend had spread like wildfire. George and Martha had come home early. Seeing that the moped was gone, the two old-timers exchanged a knowing smile, and Martha went straight to the outdoor kitchen to start preparing food. Liam and Haley, being in the car, arrived a little before Chloe. As the SUV pulled up to the house, Liam saw a woman in a floral long-sleeved shirt busy in the open courtyard, holding a wicker tray. When she saw their car stop, she rushed inside to get her husband. Haley opened the car door, set down the ramp, and helped Liam into his wheelchair. In the yard, George and Martha rushed out and froze, staring at the boy in the wheelchair and the exceptionally elegant woman beside him. More than anything, there was something about Liam's eyes and the set of his brows that felt eerily familiar, as if they had seen him somewhere before. They exchanged a bewildered look. "You are?" George finally stammered. "The luxury SUV. This had to be the one the village was buzzing about." "But wasn't the boy supposed to be driving, bringing Chloe home? Why was there another woman with him?" Martha was completely confused. It was obvious these were the grandparents Chloe had told him so much about. Liam didn't rush the family reunion. He introduced himself. "Sir, ma'am, my name is Liam. I'm Chloe's colleague." Since Chloe wasn't back yet, he figured this was the most appropriate identity. It would make explaining things easier later. Martha immediately understood. She discreetly nudged George with her elbow and whispered, "What did I tell you? Honey, this is the boy Chloe was talking about." But the woman standing next to Liam was undeniably stunning, and her presence was powerful. George frowned. What was going on? The two kids come home to announce their engagement, and the man brings another woman with him? And his legs? He could get an explanation for the rest later. George decided to cut to the chase. "Son, your legs are?" He wasn't disabled, was he? They had raised their granddaughter with so much love and care. Although Liam was handsome, marrying a disabled man, that was a bit much. As they were worrying, Liam, who had rarely been the focus of such direct familial concern, was stunned by the simple word, "son." He had always known he had to rely on himself. But now, that one simple word shattered his defenses. His eyes reddened slightly. He was about to explain when he heard Chloe's loud voice from a distance. "What you all doing gathered in front of my house? Go on, go home and eat. We've got a big celebration tonight." Chloe yelled, riding up on her little scooter, her eyes bright with excitement as she addressed the crowd of onlookers. Seeing Chloe finally arrive, Martha and George exchanged a baffled look. Chloe got closer and saw her family standing at the gate. "Grandma, Grandpa, what are you doing out here?" She got off the scooter, and her eyes met Liam's. It clicked. "Oh, right. Grandma, Grandpa, this is Liam. And this is Haley. She was the one who drove Brother Liam and me here. So she's the driver." The two of them let out a collective sigh of relief. "You child, you came back without even telling us." Martha's eyes grew misty, having not seen Chloe in so long. After a gentle scolding, she turned to Haley. "Thank you so much, miss. These two have been a lot of trouble for you." She included Liam in her thanks. A warmth spread through Liam's chest. He completely missed Haley's look of awkwardness. "It's no problem. Well, Mr. Lynn, I'll just wait in the car. Call me when you need me," Haley said, practically fleeing the scene and diving back into the SUV. Hearing this, George frowned again. This man clearly had the means to hire a personal driver. He hoped his granddaughter hadn't been tricked. Before he could get an explanation, George didn't want to jump to conclusions. "I wanted to surprise you." Chloe grinned. "Oh, right. We bought so much stuff. I got you both several new outfits." "Why buy so much? Your grandpa and I are here at home, and we still haven't finished what you bought last time." Martha's eyes were full of love for Chloe as she smiled dotingly. Chloe wanted to say more, but George, eager for an explanation, glanced at the crowd of onlookers. "Let's talk inside. Too many eyes and ears out here." He looked at Liam again, as if trying to figure out how he would get inside. Chloe nodded. "Right. I almost forgot. Brother Liam, let me push you inside. Let's go in and talk." She took hold of Liam's wheelchair handles and began to push him into the yard. The courtyard gate was closed, and the small group entered the living room. Martha had just pulled over a stool when she said hastily, "You all chat, I have rice on the stove. I'll go check on it." Before Liam or Chloe could stop her, she scurried out of the room. Liam had been worried, thinking he should take his grandparents for a medical checkup to ease his mind. But seeing them so full of life, he felt a wave of relief. George sat on the sofa, his eyes fixed on Liam. Outside, a quick glance had made Liam seem familiar. Now, sitting across from him, the familiarity was even stronger, especially around his eyes. But his main concern was the relationship between the two young people. So he started with Liam's legs. While Chloe was pouring tea, he looked at Liam and asked, "Son, about your legs?" "I broke them in an accident a while back. Just need to take it easy in the wheelchair for a bit," Liam answered vaguely. The real story was too complicated and would only cause them to worry. "Oh," George let out a long, audible sigh of relief. Thank God he wasn't a cripple. If he were, George would have had to put him through some serious tests. With that worry settled, George naturally brought up the previous topic. "Chloe told us about you. The girl is grown up now. Can't keep things to herself. But I think you seem like a fine young man." "Of course he is. My brother Liam is the best person in the world." Chloe, taking a sip of water, chimed in enthusiastically, completely missing the subtext. Her words, however, made Liam's mouth twitch. His grandfather. He hadn't misunderstood something, had he? He was about to speak up and explain, but George's next words made him freeze. "Well, today counts as meeting the parents. Chloe had a tough childhood, but things are better now. Liam, you seem like a good kid. When can you have your parents come over so our two families can meet and discuss your wedding?" Liam was dumbfounded. Chloe, who had just taken a huge gulp of water, nearly choked. She couldn't hold it in, spraying a mouthful of water all over George's shirt. George frowned, patting the water stains on his clothes, but he wasn't angry. He even smiled. "You silly girl. Your grandma and I aren't that old-fashioned. Your mother is in a care facility, so of course we'll handle this. But don't worry, we won't embarrass you. Your grandpa is a factory owner, after all." He said this, of course, to give his granddaughter some standing. She was a girl from a fractured family, and he worried she would be mistreated after getting married. But was that the real issue here? Liam looked at Chloe in disbelief, his eyes screaming, "What on earth did you tell them?" Chloe's expression was frozen. She swallowed hard, her eyes full of apology. "Grandpa, she stammered, unable to get the next words out. Thinking his granddaughter was just shy, George chuckled. "What's there to be shy about? You brought him home, didn't you?" "No." Chloe's mouth opened and closed a few times. She couldn't take it anymore. She said seriously, "Grandpa, he's my brother. Don't be shy. No matter what, we've had your wedding fund ready for a long time. Didn't I tell you? That money the Landon family sent, What did you just say?" George was still rambling when the words finally registered. He stared blankly at Chloe. Liam was speechless. At this point, silence was his only option. Chloe couldn't hold it in any longer. Her face flushed. She yelled, Liam, he's my biological brother. His last name is Lion." As her voice fell, George was completely frozen. Crash! From outside, the sound of pots and pans shattering echoed through the yard. Liam instinctively looked out and saw Martha standing there, stunned, a pile of ceramic shards at her feet. "His name is Lynn." "Liam," George murmured, looking at Liam in disbelief. Chloe continued to explain, "I only found out later. I told brother Liam my story, and he said his story matched mine perfectly. So we did a DNA test, and the results proved it. He's my long-lost brother, and I'm his sister." Her words were like thunderclaps, each one hitting the ground with immense weight. For a moment, George couldn't react. He muttered, No wonder he looked so familiar, no wonder." Martha was the first to snap out of it. She rushed inside, knelt in front of Liam, and looked at him closely, her eyes already ringed with red. "Son, are you really Chloe's brother?" Her tone was 100 times warmer than before. Liam's heart swelled. He nodded gently. "Yes, Grandma. Chloe and I are brother and sister." The moment he finished, Martha raised a trembling hand and touched his face, the face that so closely resembled Carol's, their daughter. Tears streamed down her face. "Child," she sobbed, "all these years you've suffered out there." George finally processed it all. Such a coincidence could really happen in this world. Children separated for years, finally reunited. What a miraculous fate. His normally stern eyes also reddened. "This is wonderful. We thought you were. It's good you're back. I was studying abroad. After the test results came back, my brother said we should come back together. I agreed, so we came today," Chloe explained from the side. This was the story they had agreed upon, Don't burden the elders with too much of their painful past. The generational gap would only lead to arguments, and the purpose of family was happiness. Chloe pulled out the DNA report and placed it on the coffee table. The two of them leaned in to look, reading it for a long time before breaking down in tears of joy. George was so excited he was practically dancing. He waved his hand grandly and declared, "I'm calling the hotel in town right now. Tomorrow we'll book a table, and then we'll have a feast back here in the village." How could they not let the whole village know about such wonderful news? The grandson of the She family was finally home. Yes, yes. Call now. Martha nodded repeatedly, then looked at Liam's leg with heartache. Son, what happened to your leg? Did someone bully you out there? Liam felt a sting in his nose. He quickly explained, "It's nothing, Grandma. I just broke it. It'll be fine after some rest." That's good, that's good. Martha let out a sigh of relief. Child, don't be afraid. From now on, you have Grandpa and Grandma. If anyone dares to bully you, you tell us. Your grandpa is a factory owner. People have to give him some respect. Even though he was just the owner of the local factory, in that era, managing to build a business with outside connections was a remarkable achievement. Even now, with business slowing, the fierce protectiveness in her words brought tears to Liam's eyes. Looking at the strange, yet familiar faces before him, Liam felt like he was about to cry. Thank goodness Cassandra hadn't come with him. If she saw him like this, she'd definitely make a sarcastic comment or two. Martha, I say we don't eat at home tonight, George declared. Our boy is finally back. We're getting a private room. Yes, yes, with such good news, we absolutely have to have a banquet tomorrow. The child of my She family will not be wronged. The two of them went back and forth, and George even pulled out his old flip phone to start looking through his contacts. Liam quickly interjected, "There's no hurry. Chloe and I bought a lot of things today. We can eat at home later." Hey, no way. What do you mean, eat at home? After all these years, we finally meet again. That's not proper. George instantly took on a stern demeanor, refusing to yield on the matter of the meal. Martha also waved her hand, saying it wasn't right. Their grandson had finally come home. It was a joyous occasion that demanded a private room at a restaurant. Liam wanted to say more, but Chloe tugged on his arm. Brother, don't argue. Grandpa and Grandma have been frugal their whole lives. Today you're back, and they're happy. Let's just go out and eat. Her voice was soft, her eyes red, clearly moved by the heartwarming atmosphere. Hearing this, Liam said no more. They had bought plenty of things to make the two of them happy. They would eat out tonight, and he could use the opportunity to tell them about his wife, Cassandra. Then, for the banquet tomorrow, he could bring Cassandra over. The thought of it made Liam smile. As a pampered heiress, he wondered how Cassandra would react to a rural village banquet. The image of her looking awkward and out of place was amusing. Before long, George had arranged everything with the restaurant at the edge of the village. It was close to home, the same place the village always used for banquets. Let's go, let's go. We'll have a great welcome home feast tonight. George was overjoyed, his face flushed with excitement, his voice booming with confidence. Martha grabbed the keys, but before they left, she turned and pulled Chloe aside, whispering worriedly, "Chloe, did you tell Liam about your mother?" She was afraid Liam didn't know and wouldn't be able to accept it, since their mother was still in a care facility with an unstable mental state. Sensing her grandmother's concern, Chloe deliberately raised her voice. "Brother knows. I told him as soon as we confirmed we were siblings. My brother isn't the type to look down on people." Hearing her suddenly loud voice, Martha's face went pale, and she instinctively looked at Liam. Liam, of course, knew what they were talking about. He smiled. "It's all right, Grandma. Chloe and I have already decided. Tomorrow, we'll go to the city and bring Mom over. We'll take care of her from now on." And that, of course, included his grandparents. Martha let out a visible sigh of relief, her face filled with gratification as she patted Liam's head. "That's good. The boy didn't turn out bad, not like those Landons." "Let's not talk about them today," George urged. "Hurry, grab your things. The restaurant is ready." Liam nodded. For once, the family set off for the restaurant together, happy and whole. The village restaurant had a smaller menu, but the food was just as good as anything you'd find elsewhere. The SUV was big enough for everyone. When they arrived, George was ecstatic, bragging to the restaurant staff about his grandson's return while ordering several bottles of good wine. The moment she heard wine, Martha slapped George's arm. "The boy is still recovering. What are you thinking drinking wine? You old fool. Are you trying to kill my grandson?" I forgot. George scratched his head. "I'm just so happy." "No wine then. Just bring us all your signature dishes." "You got it." The restaurant owner was genuinely happy for the She family. He even gave Liam a couple of extra looks. "George, this boy really looks like you." "Of course. He's my grandson, of course he looks like me. George was floating on air from the praise, a grin plastered on his face. Congratulations, congratulations, the owner shouted, then called to the kitchen. Honey, make a few extra dishes. It's on me, for my old friend George. Hey, you don't have to do that. Times are tough for everyone. George protested. It's nothing. Your family has helped us out so much over the years. Your grandson finally came home. It's a small gesture. George couldn't refuse and had to accept. Watching this, Liam knew Chloe hadn't been lying. His grandfather was indeed a capable man with high standing in the village. It was a good thing, too. Because of it, Chloe's childhood hadn't been so miserable. Thinking of this, Liam felt he needed to do something in return during his visit. They all sat down at the table, and the owner thoughtfully closed the private room door. Liam immediately raised his cup, using tea instead of wine, and toasted his grandparents 3 times. Grandpa, Grandma, even though I grew up away from here, I know that wasn't what you wanted. I'm back today, and I'm so grateful you never stopped looking for me. So grateful you always kept me in your thoughts. George and Martha, who had just calmed down, were moved to tears again by Liam's words. It's good that you're back. As long as you're back, Martha said, wiping her eyes. George's eyes also reddened. He started asking about Liam's work. Son, what are you doing for work out there? Fearing Liam might misunderstand, he quickly added, if things aren't going well, my factory is still running. If it comes to it, you can come work with me. I should be retiring soon anyway. You can take over the factory. It wasn't much, but it was all the Xia family had, and he was offering it up without a second thought. Liam was deeply moved. In the eyes of others, he was a pawn, used for over a decade. But to his real family, he was a precious treasure. Liam wiped the corner of his eye and smiled. No need, no need. Chloe and I are both pursuing further studies abroad right now. Good, good. Come back and contribute to our country. George's face swelled with pride. Contribute to the country. Liam rarely heard such words. In his self-centered world, life was always about transactions and benefits. Yet his grandfather, a simple villager, held such a noble ambition. Liam's feelings were complicated. He didn't know what to say. As a major taxpayer in the village, George Xia had indeed provided jobs, and though the factory was small, its impact was visible. Liam's own ambitions had never reached so far. He just wanted to live his own life well. But to hear such aspirations from his grandfather, a simple man from a small town, left him with a complex mix of emotions. He didn't know what to say. Seeing Liam fall silent, Chloe realized her brother was stuck. She quickly stood up. Grandpa, Grandma, my brother. He's already married. I have a sister-in-law. What? George froze, staring at Liam. Martha was just as surprised. Liam, you married? Liam turned, smiling and nodding. Yes. Well, where's our granddaughter-in-law? Didn't she come back with you today? George blurted out. Martha, as if realizing something, subtly nudged her husband and shook her head with a hint of embarrassment. They were just a village family. Their grandson had surely married some rich city girl. A girl like that probably wouldn't think much of their humble home. Unlike Martha, George felt no such insecurity. He shot her an annoyed look. What did you push me for? Our family isn't that bad off. We're not going to mistreat her, are we? Seeing they were about to misunderstand Cassandra, Liam quickly interjected. She said today was a happy day for me to come home. She thought we hadn't seen each other in a long time and wanted to give us time to talk. Since tomorrow is Thanksgiving, she said she could come over then. She wants to meet my family too. The protective tone in his voice made Chloe's eyes fill with envy. Hearing this, the grandparents' doubts vanished. The children are so considerate, Martha said, her face beaming. Then I'll cook at home tomorrow. They bought so much food. I'll show off my skills. After years of cooking for the factory, Martha was full of confidence, already rolling up her sleeves. George nodded in agreement. Then you ask a few friends to help out. We'll set up 30 tables. The room was filled with joy. Within a single afternoon, the news that George Xia's grandson, Liam, was back had spread through the entire Anshi neighborhood. Jessica, who had been monitoring news from the area for months, finally got the update she'd been waiting for. She hadn't seen Liam in so long. She meticulously applied her makeup and emerged from her room. After her family went bankrupt, Jessica's parents, Karen and Frank, along with her brother, Justin, had all started working at a factory. The 3 of them worked tirelessly day and night, managing to pull in about $16,000 or $17,000 a month between them. It was just enough to make their monthly loan payments, though they had to be frugal with food and other expenses. But at least the family saw a glimmer of hope. Except for Jessica. Karen, just home from her shift, saw Jessica, who had been for days, suddenly appear, all dressed up. She frowned. Mom, Liam's back. Jessica exclaimed, dancing with excitement before Karen could even speak. Liam. Karen hadn't heard that name in a long time. Mom, I'm telling you, Liam is back in the Anshi neighborhood. If I go find him, I know he'll want to talk to me. Jessica spun around deliriously in front of a full-length mirror. Hearing this, Karen finally remembered who Liam was. They had accepted their new, modest reality and were fighting for their lives. But Jessica had never given up her dream of being a wealthy man's wife. Karen didn't know what to say to her anymore. Jessica, stop dreaming. You two broke up so long ago. What makes you think he'd still be interested in you? Mom, what are you saying? Why are you putting your own daughter down? I'm your daughter. You should be praising me, encouraging me. Jessica was clearly unhinged, exhausted after a long day. Karen had no energy to argue. She simply went into her room in silence. Frank put down his phone and sighed. I don't care what you do, but when you go out, don't you dare say you're my daughter. Our family can't take another hit. He had nothing more to say to his daughter. He too disappeared into his room. Jessica bit her lip, clutching her phone, unable to accept the drastic change in her family. They used to be the ones who supported her most, and now this. She couldn't stand it. She bit her lip again. As she was about to leave, she saw Justin coming home from his own long day at the factory. Thinking she'd found an ally, she rushed over to him. Justin, your brother-in-law is back. I'm heading out to see him now. After a day of tightening screws, Justin was physically and mentally drained, his fingers numb. He had matured a lot in these past few months and understood how hard it was to earn a dollar. He had accepted their reality, only to see his own sister still living in a fantasy. Justin was truly tired. Sis, give it up. Liam is not my brother-in-law. We're just ordinary people. Stop daydreaming. How can you say that too? Jessica exploded. You just wait. When Liam and I get married, we'll see if you're still laughing at me. Justin shook his head wearily and ducked into his room. Jessica stomped her foot in frustration. Defiantly, she called a cab and checked into a hotel in Quincy, planning to find Liam in the Anshi neighborhood first thing in the morning. However, she would never get the chance to set foot in the neighborhood. For Cassandra's arrival, the Thorne family had dispatched over 100 bodyguards to surround the entire village. Every vehicle on the single road leading and was subject to inspection. There was one simple reason: Cassandra was pregnant. Every precaution had to be taken. This was something Liam and Cassandra had discussed over a video call the previous night. Having a banquet in the village would involve a lot of people, and things could get chaotic. An accident could easily happen. To prevent this, the table for Cassandra and Liam would be set up on the second floor of the house. The third floor of the small two-story house was a balcony, and George had even bought a megaphone, planning to stand on the balcony to give a speech and introduce Liam and Cassandra to everyone. Cassandra arrived early in the morning. Liam was waiting at the gate to greet her. The moment he opened the car door, she threw herself at him like a koala, clinging to him for dear life. This feels like a long-distance relationship. Last night, I felt like we were just online sweethearts. Cassandra whispered, nuzzling his ear, her voice full of playful affection. My granddaughter-in-law is here. Quick, let me see her. George and Martha came rushing out, only to see the two of them locked in a passionate embrace. They froze for a second, then started to laugh secretly. Cassandra, maybe you should turn around? Liam, facing the gate, said with a chuckle. What's wrong? Cassandra turned around, confused, only to see the two grandparents and several women who had come to help, all staring at them, covering their mouths and trying to stifle their laughter. In an instant, Cassandra went completely numb. She quickly jumped down and stammered, Mr. and Mrs. Yeah, hello. It's over, it's over. She had planned everything out, determined to make a good impression. This was Liam's family. Meeting the in-laws was such an important event, and she'd managed to make it this awkward right off the bat. Martha couldn't stop smiling. She walked over and took Cassandra's arm. Don't be so formal. We're all family here. Come on, come inside. Grandma has a gift for you. Cassandra's cheeks flushed red, and she instinctively glanced at Liam. Knowing she was shy, Liam quickly said, Let's go inside. Come on, I'll go with you. Anyone could see how much they cared for each other. The other women giggled, and George followed them inside. Martha led Cassandra into the bedroom. She took out a large box from the closet and, in front of Liam and Cassandra, opened it with a smile. Cassandra, Liam told me about you too. Grandma bought this for you yesterday. Even though we couldn't be at your wedding, this is a small token of our affection. I hope you don't mind. Inside the box was a beautifully packaged set of gold jewelry, a jade bracelet, and a bank card. There's $15,000 on this card. It's what we've managed to save up. It's not much, but please take it. and from now on, Grandma will give you a monthly allowance." Martha smiled warmly, as if speaking to her own child. Liam felt a lump form in his throat, unsure of what to say. He glanced at Cassandra, suddenly nervous. All of this combined wasn't even enough for one of Cassandra's manicures. After living a life of such extravagance, would she find it insulting? But clearly, he was overthinking it. Cassandra smiled and extended her arm, elegantly rolling up her sleeve to reveal a slender wrist. "Grandma, would you please help me put on the bracelet?" Martha's face lit up. She quickly picked up the jade bracelet and placed her fingers on Cassandra's wrist. The calluses on her old hands were a stark contrast to Cassandra's delicate, smooth skin, and the sight made Liam's heart clench. As if noticing the roughness of her own hands, Martha grabbed a clean tissue from nearby, placed it under the bracelet, and slid it onto Cassandra's wrist. "It fits. That girl Chloe has good taste. She picked the right size." Martha's eyes shone with happiness as she looked at Cassandra. "Of course. I'm with my sister-in-law all the time. I knew which size to get." Chloe, who had just come in, shrugged her shoulders, bumped Liam, and tilted her head up, waiting for praise. They went to buy gifts without even telling him. Liam shot Chloe a look, but didn't say anything. After Cassandra took the box, Martha stood up. "You kids have fun. I'm going to go cook with your Aunt Lee and the others." At the doorway, she didn't forget to pull George along. "Honey, let's go. Let the kids have their space." George nodded and followed her out. Once the bedroom door was closed, Cassandra finally let out a sigh of relief. She looked at Liam, her expression a little nervous. "My performance just now wasn't too bad, was it?" "It was amazing." Liam praised her without hesitation. "You were perfect just now. My wife truly is the most capable person I know." The compliment made Cassandra float. If she had a tail, it would be wagging furiously. Liam turned to Chloe. "Chloe, you went shopping with Grandma yesterday and didn't tell me? You guys are being so secretive." "It wasn't my fault, brother Liam." Chloe threw up her hands in surrender. "Grandma insisted on dragging me out. She said it was our sister-in-law's first visit, so of course she had to have a welcome gift." It was an old-fashioned way of thinking, but it showed how much they valued him and Cassandra. The feeling of having a family was truly wonderful. Liam suddenly felt like he had come back too late. Still, he couldn't help but look at Cassandra, at the bracelet on her wrist that she showed no intention of removing. He was genuinely surprised. "Cassandra, I thought you might find it lacking." At his words, Chloe also grew tense. Being back home, surrounded by familiar people and places, she had forgotten that Cassandra was the heiress of the Thorne family, one of the most powerful dynasties in New York. A woman of her status. What hadn't she seen? Especially something as common as gold jewelry. To their surprise, Cassandra shot them both a look and put her hands on her hips. "So in your eyes, I'm just some materialistic, ungrateful person, is that it?" Liam quickly waved his hands. No, Cassandra, that's not what I meant." Chloe panicked too. "Sister-in-law, no, that's not what I meant either." "Humph." Cassandra snorted, lifting her chin proudly. "I may be an heiress, but I have manners. They are grandparents. A blessing from your elders is the most precious thing in the world." Never expecting Cassandra to say something like that, Liam was stunned. He quickly bowed his head in apology. "Sorry, Cassandra, I misspoke." Chloe's eyes were sparkling. "Sister-in-law, you're the best sister-in-law in the world. I love you so much." Cassandra pouted, puffed up with pride from the compliment, a blush creeping up her cheeks. She pointed a finger at Liam, crooking it slightly. "You, come here." "Huh." Liam paused for a moment, then instinctively pushed his wheelchair forward until he was in front of her. Cassandra let out a playful "Mph," hooked a hand in his collar, and forced him to lean down. "How dare you question me? I'm going to have to punish you." "Wait, Chloe is still here." The thought flashed through Liam's mind, but before he could speak, he heard Chloe's hurried voice. "I've already turned around." "Punish him, sister-in-law. I can't see a thing." Liam was stunned. "Wait, Chloe, I'm your brother." Chloe covered her eyes, her back to them, facing the door. She said righteously, "Grandma gave me a lecture last night. She said my sister-in-law married into our family to be happy, so my brother's opinion comes second. The sister-in-law is the boss." Her words were music to Cassandra's ears. She looked at Liam smugly, her face a mask of pure, arrogant delight. So his status had dropped to rock bottom on this trip home? And Chloe had sold him out just like that. Liam was still reeling when he heard Cassandra's sweet, demanding voice. "Hold me." She tilted her head up, her enchanting face full of pride, her chin nearly pointing at the ceiling, her eyes filled with triumph. But the large window was right behind them. Liam could even see his grandfather greeting guests at the gate. What was he supposed to do? Cassandra, there are people outside. After a long pause, that was all Liam could manage to say. This was so embarrassing. So what if there are people? Don't they all know I'm your wife? Cassandra didn't care, still tugging on his collar, pulling him down. The distance between them was shrinking. Any lower, and he wouldn't be able to support himself. Liam took a deep breath. Fine. He bent down, and like he was picking up a child, he slid his hands under her arms and pulled her tightly into his embrace. Oomph. You're the one who hugged me. I certainly didn't ask you to, she said, deliberately speaking in opposites as she inhaled his clean, fresh scent, a smile playing on her lips. All right, my lady. I'm the one who insisted on a hug. Liam sighed, but held her even tighter. His words hit the sweet spot. Cassandra was overjoyed, but she continued her game. There's so many people outside. Look at you. You have no shame, insisting on hugging me. I knew you missed me. Her playful reverse psychology tickled him. He smirked and admitted without hesitation. You're right, I missed you. I missed you so much I couldn't stand it. I missed you so much that only hugging you could make it better. If I didn't have you, I'd turn into a little crybaby. Puffed. Right at the peak of the romantic atmosphere, Chloe couldn't hold it in. She burst out laughing. Her strong, rational, eloquent brother was acting like this in front of her sister-in-law. The stark contrast was too much for her to handle. A little crybaby. Ha ha. Chloe laughed so hard she had to crouch down, clutching her stomach. What are you laughing at? Cassandra frowned, annoyed, and playfully bit Liam's earlobe. Liam yelped in pain, and when he recovered, he quickly turned and roared at Chloe. Yeah, what are you laughing at, you brat? Can't you see your brother and sister-in-law are having a moment? Mood killer. Get her out of here. Chloe was laughing so hard tears streamed from her eyes. She wiped them away, her voice full of mock offense. It's one thing for my sister-in-law to be mean to me, but you too, brother? That's so unfair. I couldn't help it. Oh, really? It's one thing for your sister-in-law to be mean to you? Liam shot her a look. This little traitor, who chose her sister-in-law over her own brother, expected him to defend her. Get out, he barked, baring his teeth at her. Chloe snorted defiantly. Fine, I'll go. What's the big deal? She reached for the doorknob, but then heard another command from Liam. Wait, you stand guard outside. Let us know when dinner is ready. You two are having a moment, and I have to stand guard? I'm a doorman now. Chloe pointed at herself in disbelief. What else? Liam raised an eyebrow. So heartless. Knowing she couldn't win, Chloe gave in. She pulled open the door, but just before she left, she didn't forget to shout back at Cassandra, sister-in-law. Don't let my brother off easy. Get him for me, too. Punish him extra hard. You, Liam started to say, but the door slammed shut with a bang. The atmosphere in the room instantly intensified. He turned his head and met Cassandra's burning, fiery gaze. His mouth went dry, and he instinctively licked his lips. It was such a small gesture, but after a day apart from Cassandra, it was magnified 1,000 times. Especially the way his Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed. The already smoldering embers of desire were doused in gasoline. Boom. Cassandra's voice was husky as she stared at him. Since you miss me so much, you must want to kiss too, right? Oh well. Liam swallowed hard, meeting her hungry eyes. Cassandra crossed her arms, tilting her head back proudly, a look that clearly said, well, go on then. Liam felt this might not be appropriate. Not only were the curtains not drawn, but his leg wasn't healed yet. By any measure, it was not a good time. He scratched his head and said sheepishly, actually, I wasn't really thinking about that. What did you say? Cassandra's voice instantly dropped, and the flames in her eyes turned to rage. As usual, Liam fell back on his old strategy. Logically, right now we should. Hey, don't do that. He was about to try and reason with her, but his collar was suddenly yanked, forcing his entire body forward. Who had time for logic at a moment like this? In a flash, Cassandra stood up, pulling him by the collar, looking down on him imperiously. How dare you not want to? You actually dare to say you don't want to. It seems I'll have to punish you properly. No, Cassandra, listen me. The curtains aren't drawn. That's what Liam wanted to say. He wasn't trying to refuse. But Cassandra wasn't about to give him a chance to finish. She leaned down, and the moment her lips pressed against his, she declared, I'm kissing you now, and you can't stop me. Warmth bloomed between their lips. Her hair fell against his throat, and, as his Adam's apple moved, the strands tickled him, raising his entire body temperature. She was like a conquering emperor, mercilessly devouring another kingdom's land. She didn't stop until she had plundered his last defenses, finally pulling away in satisfaction. Feeling her retreat, Liam dazedly opened his eyes, which were now bloodshot. Cassandra's expression softened with a hint of sympathy as she cupped his face. Not yet. He hadn't said he wanted her right now. Liam bit his lip, the sting of it bringing him back to his senses. Then why did you do that? You were doing it on purpose. Cassandra felt no guilt. Instead, she said proudly, I was doing it on purpose. I had a test if you were up to it. What did that mean? Wasn't that just grinding his pride into the dirt? Liam's chest puffed out, and his voice dropped, becoming husky. Then tell me, am I up to it? Cassandra's gaze flickered downward for a second, a smirk playing on her lips. But her words were still the opposite of what she felt. You're SOSO. SOSO. Liam snapped. A dangerous smile spread across his face. Right. SOSO. Yeah, I'm pretty SOSO. Well, it's true. We're married anyway, so I'll just have to make do. It's not like I can get a replacement, right? Cassandra said, completely oblivious, still speaking in opposites. To this, Liam had only one reply. Right. The atmosphere instantly dropped to freezing. When she didn't get any further response from him, Cassandra started to panic. What? Are you mad? Liam maintained his smile. No, you're definitely mad. How could I be? How could I possibly be mad at you, my lady? You're being sarcastic. You're definitely mad. Liam finally just turned his head away. She hated it when the air went quiet, especially when Liam's silence felt like the calm before a storm. Cassandra was frantic. She had lost her proud demeanor completely, rushing to get in front of him. Say something. Don't just ignore me. Liam turned his head to the other side. Cassandra completely fell apart. She scrambled to get in front of him again, stamping her foot in frustration. Liam, you're driving me crazy. Just say something. Don't you dare ignore me. Liam let out a cold snort. Why should I talk to you? So you can laugh at me? I wasn't laughing at you. I was joking. Cassandra quickly sat down on the edge of the bed, facing him, so flustered she was breaking out in a sweat. I was really just joking. Liam's only response was a clipped, oh. Every time Liam went silent, she felt like the world was ending. Especially now. Cassandra was so anxious she started pulling at her hair. There was nothing worse than his silence. For the first time, she felt completely helpless against this stubborn man. I was wrong, she blurted out, pressing her palms together, her eyes full of sincerity as she apologized. Liam acted as if he hadn't heard, keeping his eyes shut. Cassandra was about to go crazy. But what could she do? She had said it. So, she had to be the one to fix it. She let out a little sob, her voice soft and submissive. I'm sorry, okay? I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have made that kind of joke. Can you please forgive me? Is she actually crying? Liam peeked open one eye, just a slit. Cassandra was right there, her eyes red, but there were no tears yet. Her expression was completely serious. She was genuinely apologizing. Liam was secretly delighted, but he kept his face a mask of silent indifference. I'm sorry. Cassandra's voice was already thick with unshed tears, but her tone was still coaxing. I'm the one who missed you. I'm the one who wanted to kiss you. It was all me. I missed you so much that when I finally got to hold you, I just blurted it out without thinking. It's all my fault. The further she went, the heavier her voice became with tears. Liam's heart twisted. He slowly opened his eyes and saw a layer of mist clouding hers. All right, he finally said. He reached out and gently pinched her cheek. I'm your husband. How could you say your husband is just this OSO? His voice seemed to have a magical quality. As his gentle tone washed over her, Cassandra finally broke. Fat tears welled up and spilled from her eyes. I was wrong, she whimpered. She sat on the edge of the bed, wiping her tears like a wronged wife. He hadn't expected her to actually cry. Now Liam was the one panicking. He quickly tried to soothe her. Okay, don't cry. I'm not angry. Really? Cassandra's eyes instantly lit up. Of course it's real. Realer than a diamond. You scare me to death. Cassandra burst into laughter through her tears. Liam sighed in relief, but the matter wasn't over. He threatened her with a smile. However, if you say that again when my leg is healed, you're finished. Oh really? I don't believe you. All right then, you just wait. When my leg is better, you'll see what you get. Liam's smile was anything but harmonious. But Cassandra wasn't buying it. She tilted her face up to his. So you're saying that since your leg isn't better yet, I can. Do. What? Please. She drew out each word, as if getting revenge for him scaring her. Liam tensed. Wait a minute. He had a sinking feeling she had a point. Before he could react, Cassandra shot to her feet, hooked a finger under his chin, and looked at him with a predatory glint in her eye. Then let's go again. Liam was bewildered. Huh? Go again with what? With what we just did? I want more. Oh no, I've trapped myself. Liam immediately begged for mercy. No more, my queen. Please let me off the hook. Nope. You scare me just now. I have to punish you. Liam threw his hands up in surrender, crying for help. Cassandra giggled, her eyes full of mischief. Go ahead and scream. No one will come to save you even if your throat is raw. You're mine now. Prepare to meet your doom. Help. Somebody. There's a woman here forcing herself on. MMPH. It's over. She'd sealed his lips again. Outside the door, Chloe had her, but in the air, her ear pressed against the wooden door, listening to the commotion inside. She covered her mouth, her shoulders shaking with silent laughter. Behind her, Martha and her neighbor, Aunt Lee, who had come to call them for the banquet, stood frozen, staring at Chloe's ridiculous pose. What is that child doing? Martha frowned. Her perfectly good granddaughter. Why was she acting like this? Aunt Lee covered her mouth, her eyes crinkling into crescents. Martha, you can't see what's going on? She's eavesdropping. What time is it to be eavesdropping? Martha muttered, but a moment later, she couldn't help but smile too. You mean those two kids? We're our age, you don't get it? The young ones are in their honeymoon phase. Aunt Lee gave her a playful slap on the arm, her eyes full of envy. Ah, your family has double the happiness. And your granddaughter-in-law is so beautiful. Your family is truly blessed. Of course, my granddaughter-in-law is a beauty. Martha beamed. Just as the eavesdropping was getting good, Chloe's cheeks flushed, and she took 2 steps back, only to see her grandmother and the neighbor laughing behind her. She panicked and quickly raised her hand to knock on the door. Martha wanted to stop her. Don't interrupt the lovebirds, but she was a second too late. Knock, knock, knock. 3 sharp raps echoed through the house. The sound of rustling and a chair scraping came from inside, and a moment later, Cassandra opened the door, the blush on her cheeks not yet faded. Coming face to face with Martha, Cassandra fidgeted with the hem of her shirt, utterly embarrassed. Grandma, well, dinner's ready. We came to call you. If it's not a good time, we can wait a bit to start the feast. Martha was just as awkward, stammering and smiling sheepishly. Chloe rolled her eyes so hard she was practically staring at the ceiling, an expression that screamed, I told you so, not my problem. Not a good time? The implication made Cassandra's face burn. She instinctively looked at Liam, her eyes pleading for help. Liam pushed his wheelchair forward. It's fine, Grandma. I was just showing Cassandra around. We're ready now. We can start the feast anytime. Good, good. Finally, given an out, Martha nodded repeatedly, her face beaming. Then let's go up to the 3rd floor. Liam, it's not convenient for you in a wheelchair. Grandma asked a few of the men to come help carry you. This was 5-star treatment. Liam didn't want to be such a bother, but for Cassandra's safety, they had to go upstairs. All right, let's go now, Liam agreed. Martha and Aunt Lee immediately rushed out to get help. As it was Liam's first time back, and he was the factory owner's grandson, everyone was eager to pitch in. They rolled up their sleeves, and with 2 men lifting the wheelchair and 2 supporting from the front and back, they managed to carry Liam up to the 3rd floor balcony. Once he was settled on the 3rd floor, Liam made a point to pull a few envelopes from his pocket and hand them out as bonuses to the men who had helped. Wiping the sweat from their brows, they accepted the cash with wide smiles, praising Liam for his thoughtfulness. Even though they were happy to help, a generous gesture made everyone feel appreciated. George, your family has truly hit the jackpot. This boy is so considerate. Yeah, and your granddaughter-in-law is a looker. Strong hips, good figure. You can tell she'll give you a son. Isn't that the truth? Talk about being blessed. A few women chimed in, laughing and praising, but the compliments were taking a strange turn. As their words fell, the expressions on Liam and Cassandra's faces instantly stiffened. Liam felt a surge of anger. He had never cared about gender. As long as it was his and Cassandra's baby, he would be happy. He couldn't believe they would say something like that. He was about to retort when Martha beat him to it. What are you all talking about? A boy or a girl? It's our Xia family's child, and we'll love them all the same. How can you say such things? Her cheerful mood vanished, replaced by clear anger. George looked equally displeased. Exactly. Spouting such nonsense right to our faces. What do you take our family for? You guys are so annoying. What's so great about having a son? What century are we in? Who even cares about that anymore? Chloe couldn't hold back either, lashing out without a filter. It was a small town, so such opinions were to be expected. Liam knew that, but he didn't want Cassandra to be hurt by their words. And now, his grandparents were the first to jump to their defense. This fierce protection warmed his heart. He reached over and took Cassandra's hand. Cassandra, don't be angry because of what they said. As long as it's our child, I don't care about any of that. Cassandra, who had been getting angry, didn't lash out, mostly because this was Liam's home, and she didn't want to embarrass him. But seeing his entire family defending her, and hearing Liam's reassurance, her anger melted away. She squeezed his hand back. Of course I won't get angry over something like this. As long as the people who matter were on her side, the words of others didn't mean a thing. Faced with the backlash, the women realized their mistake and quickly shut up, covering their mouths with apologetic expressions. Sorry, we spoke out of turn. Yes, we shouldn't have said that. On such a happy day, we misstep. George, we're so sorry. Our apologies. After that small hiccup, the guests downstairs had all arrived. Long tables snaked through the yard and beyond. The entire village of P13.She was there, and some had even rushed back from out of town. George picked up the megaphone, his voice booming with joy. First of all, welcome everyone to the She family celebration. We have 3 happy occasions today, and before the feast begins, I want to announce them to you all. The first is to celebrate the return of my grandson. Come on, Liam, say hello to everyone. George tugged on Liam's sleeve and handed him the microphone. It was a bit awkward, sitting in a wheelchair with a balcony railing hiding half his body, but at least his face was visible. His grandparents were happy, and he wouldn't spoil their mood. Liam took the microphone and smiled at the crowd. Hello, uncles and aunts. I'm Liam. As the factory owner, George had significant pull in the village. As Liam spoke, the crowd erupted in applause. George took back the megaphone. The second piece of good news is that my granddaughter is back. She's been studying abroad and has finally come home for a visit. Chloe hadn't expected to be one of the main attractions. She blushed and waved to the crowd with a smile. George continued, and the third, the biggest joy of today, is that my grandson Liam is married. Today is also a homecoming celebration for him and my granddaughter-in-law. On this Thanksgiving Day, the She family has 3 blessings to celebrate. A beautiful Thanksgiving evening, a family reunited. Nothing could be better than this. Down below, the crowd cheered. Some were caught up in the She family's joy, but many were just excited about the feast. The menu was unbelievably lavish. Abalone, lobster, bird's nest soup, king crab. All sorts of high-end foods they rarely saw. At Cassandra's arrangement, the tables were even set with desserts from upscale restaurants. Mousse cakes, Oreo cookies, milk soufflés, and imported chocolates flown in special. It was supposed to be a simple village banquet, but it was being held like a grand gala. When had the P13.She neighborhood ever seen such a spread? It was obvious at a glance that their grandson and his wife were not ordinary people. They must have made it big out in the world. Everyone was hoping to catch a bit of their good fortune and maybe even network with Liam after the feast. As the banquet began, Liam was carefully carried down to the second floor, which had been set up as a private dining room for just the family. George was ecstatic. As soon as he sat down, he insisted on having some wine. Knowing how happy the old man was, Martha didn't stop him, instead chatting happily with Cassandra. At first, Cassandra was a bit reserved, but over time, she slowly adapted and soon blended in. As they talked, George quickly got tipsy and insisted on having a drink with his granddaughter-in-law. Martha tried to intervene, but he was insistent. She looked to Liam for help. Liam knew he couldn't hide it forever, and he hadn't planned to. He spoke up directly. Grandpa, Cassandra can't drink. She's pregnant. George's face was beet red, his mind hazy, but those words shocked him sober. What? I'm going to be a great-grandfather. His eyes darted around, the word pregnant jolting him to full alertness. Martha's eyes went wide. With a strength that came from nowhere, she shoved George aside and looked at Cassandra excitedly. Cassie, you're pregnant? Cassandra smiled, placing a hand on her stomach, her face soft. Yes, it's been almost 3 months now. Martha was overjoyed. She fumbled for her purse, insisting on giving Cassandra another big cash gift. George was energized too, immediately pulling out his bank book. Martha, let's go. Let's go to the bank and withdraw some cash. This is huge news. We have to give them a big envelope. Exactly. Martha nodded repeatedly, then looked at Liam with a hint of reproach. You child, your wife is pregnant and you didn't tell us sooner? If you told us earlier, your grandfather and I would have prepared a huge gift. For them, the first thought in the face of good news was to give money. After all, for the older generation in the village, money was the most precious thing they had. Liam sighed. He couldn't hide it any longer. He had to tell them his current situation, had to explain that money was the one thing he and Cassandra had in abundance. Grandpa, Grandma, you don't have to do this, Liam said gently, a hint of exasperation in his voice. He glanced at Cassandra, who met his gaze, and then spoke plainly. Cassandra runs her own company now. Chloe and I are studying in the UK. We have scholarships, and we both work part-time. We really don't have any money problems. You want to tell them the full truth, but how could you explain the concept of a top-tier New York City dynasty to people who had lived in this quiet Quincy neighborhood their entire lives? Nonsense. Martha Xia waved her hand dismissively. Your money is your own. This is a gift from our hearts. Whether you take it as your business, whether we give it as ours, George Xia added firmly. Exactly. That's the way it is, Martha nodded, getting to her feet. No matter what, Cassandra is our Xia family's daughter-in-law now. It's tradition for the elders to give a proper gift when a daughter-in-law is expecting. Otherwise, word will get around that your grandparents are stingy, and we can't have that. Not another word. You wait right here. Your grandmother and I will be right back, George said, standing up with her. He was determined to go to the bank. Fortunately, the local branch was just around the corner. Seeing their resolve, Liam sighed and didn't protest further. Cassandra looped her arm through his, her expression softening. Your grandparents are really wonderful people. They're your grandparents now, too, Liam teased, patting her arm. Across from them, Chloe watched with an envious smile. Brother Liam, she finally asked, when we're going to talk to them about moving to the city. Liam looked to Cassandra, who just shrugged. That's for you all to decide. Just say the word. The Thorns aren't short on properties. The casual display of wealth was staggering. For a moment, Liam felt that familiar twinge of being a kept husband. All right, he said. We'll talk it over when they get back and decide then. Meanwhile, at the Stanton estate in the UK, I'm so bored. Riley Thorne sighed, propping her chin on her hand as she surveyed the lavishly decorated living room. Thwack! Catherine Thorne gave Riley a sharp rap on the head. What are you sighing for? It's a beautiful day, and you're ruining it with your gloom. Riley rubbed her head, her eyes welling with theatrical hurt. Mommy, why are you so mean? It is boring. My sister and brother-in-law are gone, and I have no one to play with. Can't Evelyn keep you company? Catherine asked, sitting down beside her. She's terrified of my sister, so she's always micromanaging me. It's no fun at all, Riley pouted, then muttered under her breath. If my brother-in-law were here, he'd take me out for a good time. What was that you mumbled? Catherine leaned closer, not having heard her clearly. Riley flinched, shrinking back instinctively. She clammed up, and Catherine didn't press. The huge living room was filled with the quiet bustle of servants. A moment later, Caleb Thorne burst in, beaming. Catherine, my love, come quickly, I have something for you. Catherine crossed her arms, not in a hurry to get up. She looked towards the door and saw Caleb holding a black satchel. A look of confusion crossed her face. What have you got there? Come with me, and you'll find out. Caleb grinned, completely ignoring Riley as he beckoned excitedly to his wife. Catherine hesitated for a moment before rising. Daddy, what's the surprise? I want to see too. Riley chimed in. Caleb's response was a pointed silence. Riley got the message instantly. Catherine, however, was oblivious. Come on, let's go see what your father has planned. Facing her father's murderous glare from the doorway, Riley scratched her head awkwardly and forced a smile. You know what, Mommy, you go ahead. I won't crash the party. Catherine paused. Go on. Dinner will be ready soon, and I'll just wait in here. Riley insisted, practically shoving her mother out the door. Though confused, Catherine didn't argue and headed outside. A few moments later, a series of thunderous booms echoed through the air. Above the estate grounds, brilliant fireworks exploded against the sky, their colors reflecting in the villa's windows, blooming into the shape of roses. For a moment, even Riley was mesmerized. But the next second, she heard Catherine's delighted screams from outside, and her lips twitched in annoyance. Fine, fine. Don't include me. See if I care. She slumped back onto the sofa, propping her head in her hands again, bored out of her mind. The servants, both inside and out, had paused their work to watch the temporary beauty. Riley's eyes roamed aimlessly until she spotted Leo, who had come downstairs at the sound of the explosions. Leo stood frozen at the bottom of the staircase. As someone who had survived Cassandra blowing up a villa, his first instinct at the sound of an explosion was that the building was under attack. But as he rushed down, he saw the brilliant fireworks, and he simply stared. Riley's eyes lit up. Leo, you're finally out. Come keep me company. I'm so bored. She was truly at her wit's end. Leo blinked, looking over at her with an awkward smile. Miss Riley, I don't think that would be appropriate. What's not appropriate? My sister and brother-in-law are away, Chloe's not here, and my dad's off surprising my mom. They've all abandoned me, and I have no one to talk to. Riley looked at him with pleading, watery eyes. The other excuses didn't land, but the mention of Chloe's not here made Leo's eyes tighten. His gaze drifted to the fireworks outside. Beyond the brilliant flashes was the full harvest moon. A perfect night, but Chloe wasn't here to see it. A wave of melancholy washed over him. The intense training these past few days had left his entire body aching. He sank onto a step, leaning against the banister, and stared silently at the view. If only Chloe were here. She would love fireworks like these. He never got to watch them with her. When she got back, he would arrange a fireworks display just for her. Leo didn't answer, lost completely in his thoughts. Seeing she couldn't get a reaction out of him, Riley rolled her eyes so hard they nearly got stuck. Her gaze fell on Evelyn, who had also come out to see the display. She was forced to settle for her second choice. Evelyn, I'm dying of boredom. You want to play truth or dare? Dr. Aiden, who had come out with Evelyn, paused at the doorway, hesitating. Frankly, Evelyn, who had only managed to drag Aiden out for a moment of fresh air, had no desire to entertain Riley. But Riley was the second daughter of the house. After an invitation like that, refusing would be a bad look. She was silent for a moment. Miss Riley, they're setting off fireworks. Why don't we watch them together? Evelyn tried one last time to salvage her free time. Riley's face crumpled. But I'm so bored. My parents are outside. And look at Leo. He's just sitting there staring into space like a block of wood. I don't even have anyone to talk to. Her face was a mask of misery, her eyes red and on the verge of tears. She looked utterly pitiful. Aiden couldn't stand it. Why don't we play at the table by the window? He suggested kindly. That way we can still see the fireworks. With him having spoken, Evelyn had no further objections. She nodded and walked over to the table. From there, they had a panoramic view and could even see Caleb and Catherine wrapped in an embrace near where the fireworks were being launched. Riley finally cheered up and hurried over to the table. The three of them sat down. So how are we playing? Drawing cards, rolling dice, or spinning a bottle? Evelyn asked as soon as she was seated. Let's do cards, Riley said after a moment's thought. Joker is 14, Big Joker is 15. Highest card gets to ask the lowest card truth or dare. Sounds good. The rules were simple enough that Aiden, despite being British, could easily understand. A servant brought a deck of cards, and the game began. Since they were playing for Riley's sake, Evelyn was direct. Let's go clockwise. Miss Riley, you draw first. All right. Riley didn't stand on ceremony and drew a card. When God closes a door, he opens a window. Riley finally understood the meaning of that phrase. After being snubbed by two different groups, she drew the Big Joker. 15 points. No matter what happened next, she couldn't lose. She slapped the card face up on the table, grinning at the other two. 15 points. I'm out. Let's see which one of you is the loser. Evelyn's stomach clenched. For some reason, she had a very bad feeling. But when she and Aiden revealed their cards, she breathed a sigh of relief. Aiden's was the lowest. Her relief was short-lived. However, as she grew tense again, Miss Riley was full of mischievous ideas. Who knew how she would choose to torture Aiden? In this situation, you always pick truth. At least you wouldn't have to embarrass yourself with a dare. She looked at Aiden, trying to signal him with her eyes, but unfortunately, he didn't get the message. And because he didn't know Riley well enough, how much trouble could a young girl really cause? He declared without hesitation, I choose dare. Slap. Evelyn smacked her own forehead. It was over. Riley immediately gave him a thumbs up. Dr. Aiden, you're the man. Aiden was confused. What do you mean? You're the first person I've played with who's dared to pick dare. Riley was ecstatic. The reality of his situation dawned on Aiden, but it was too late. Riley pointed out the window without a second's hesitation. My dare is this. While my parents are having their romantic moment, you have to sneak over and light the firework right in front of them. It was over. That was like trying to shoplift right under a cop's nose. A death wish. Evelyn knew the full force of Caleb Thorne's temper. She was about to try and talk Riley out of it, but Aiden simply nodded. All right. And with that, he was off, striding quickly toward Caleb and Catherine. While they were gazing into each other's eyes, lost in their own world, he pulled a lighter from his pocket, reached out, and lit the fuse. Boom! The explosion startled Catherine, who staggered back. Her ankle caught on the leg of the chair, and she lost her balance, tipping backward. Thankfully, Caleb's reflexes were sharp. He caught her by the waist, pulling her into an embrace. The moment froze. Catherine's face was flushed, a shy, happy expression on her face. Caleb glanced over and saw Aiden scurrying away, then spotted Riley and Evelyn sitting by the window. He understood instantly. Not a bad assist. A smile touched his lips as he gently guided Catherine into the chair. It didn't even get mad? Riley's jaw dropped. My mom almost fell, and my dad didn't even yell at you. Aiden, jogging back, was breathing heavily. Your parents have a truly wonderful relationship, he said with genuine admiration. Yes, the master and mistress are famous for their devotion. I'm quite envious myself, Evelyn said, smiling at Aiden. Aiden seemed thoughtful. He looked at Evelyn, but said nothing. All right, let's content. Riley turned back excitedly, only to see Evelyn and Aiden gazing at each other. The atmosphere was so sweet you could bottle it. Add a background and it could be a movie poster. Her words died in her throat. Evelyn snapped out of it, her cheeks instantly turning crimson. She fumbled with her cards. Let's continue, she stammered. Continue my ass. Riley exploded, jumping to her feet in a rage. I'm not playing with you people anymore. Go make out, you bunch of jerks. With that, she stormed back to her bedroom. Evelyn was stunned, not by Riley's anger, but by the implication of her words. Aiden just smiled knowingly, saying nothing. But his silence only made Evelyn's face burn hotter. She awkwardly changed the subject. Well, Miss Riley just has that temper. You get used to it. It's fine. The atmosphere here is really lovely, Aiden replied with a smile, gesturing out the window. Don't say anything else. Let's just watch the fireworks together. He knew, and Evelyn knew that he knew. Her cheeks were scalding. She nodded obediently. Okay. In her bedroom, Riley flopped on her bed, scrolling through her phone, her eyes red. The scene she had just witnessed was one she'd seen before between her sister and brother-in-law. When they looked at each other, their eyes were full of a tenderness that made you think they were about to pull each other into an embrace. Now everyone around her was falling in love, which made her want it too. But the first guy she'd met was a giant scumbag. Her thumb paused on Paige's contact number. Overcome with boredom, she dialed it without a second thought. The call connected, and through the sound of camera shutters, Paige's voice came through. Miss Riley, what's up? Hearing the familiar voice after so long, Riley burst into tears. Paige, she sobbed. Let's run away from home together. At the royal residence in the UK, Lord Charles presided over a rare Thanksgiving banquet. He sat with a frown, staring silently at the central dance floor. Princess Anna sat beside him, fending off a steady stream of young men asking for a dance. On the other side of the room, a lavishly dressed Natalie stared daggers at her father and Anna, her face a mask of fury. Mother, whatever the case, the Thanksgiving banquet is happening. Please don't look so miserable. Smile a little. Ethan, standing beside her, lifted a glass of champagne with a grin. Natalie was already a pressure cooker of rage. Seeing her son's carefree attitude made her explode. Smile, smile, smile. That's all you know how to do. You're a grown man. Don't you ever think about your own future? Your grandfather hasn't thrown a Thanksgiving banquet in years. Why do you think he's doing it now? Ethan's face went pale. The hand holding the champagne glass froze awkwardly in midair before he slowly lowered it. Even without his mother spelling it out, he knew who it was for. Liam. His grandfather had organized this grand Thanksgiving feast specifically to court Liam's favor. But then, a few days ago, Caleb Thorne had arrived and informed them that Liam had returned to the States. The banquet had already been planned, so there was no sense in canceling it. Instead, they had invited business tycoons and socialites from within the royal circle. For the British monarchy to host a major American holiday with such fanfare sparked widespread speculation online. Pundits and commentators were guessing it was a prelude to some major UK-US trade deal. Lord Charles remained silent on the matter, but his silence only fueled the speculation, especially as tourism between the two countries had recently seen a sharp increase. If he's allowed to continue like this, he might become the next heir. Natalie's voice dropped to a whisper, her eyes fixed worriedly on her father. The heir? No way, Ethan exclaimed, looking at his mother in disbelief. And why not? Can't you see your grandfather's attitude? Your own father is American. Have you ever seen your grandfather throw a Thanksgiving banquet for him? Natalie raised an eyebrow, her worry practically spilling from her eyes. Anyone could see that Lord Charles treated Liam differently. He held private meetings with him, arranged for top doctors to treat him, and now he had organized a national holiday celebration just for him. And when Liam didn't even show up, he wasn't the least bit angry. How could anyone misread those signs? The realization finally hit Ethan. He meekly put down his glass. Then what do we do? What do we do? Now you're worried. Natalie sneered. I told you before to put some effort into your online presence. But what did you do? You sat at home playing video games with your friends. Now you're panicking. It wasn't that Natalie was paranoid. It was out of the royal bloodline. There were only her and Anna. With the Queen having passed away years ago, Charles was clearly grooming Anna to be his successor, and she had practically taken on the role already. If it were just that, it would be one thing. But Charles had also recently ordered his men to secretly look for a DNA testing facility. Adding it all up, Natalie had no choice but to be on guard. Cornered by his mother, Ethan was at a loss for words. I did post things before, he mumbled defensively, but for some reason, the administrators deleted them. And then grandfather had that media company, Starstream, set the record straight. It wasn't that he hadn't fought. It was at the moment he started, a giant hand had slapped him down. How was he supposed to fight that? He had no power. Your grandfather is obviously trying to curry favor with Liam. No matter what, I will not allow Liam to join the royal family. Natalie said through gritted teeth. Here's what you'll do. Go find out if he has any dirt on him back in the States. Dig it all up, post it online. When the public outcry is loud enough, even your grandfather won't be able to do anything about it. The royal family would never welcome someone with a scandalous past into its ranks. Ethan took a deep breath. Okay, back in the She neighborhood, George and Martha returned with a thick envelope stuffed with cash. Cassandra accepted it with both hands and a sweet smile. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Grandma. What a good girl. Martha beamed, then carefully moved the cold foods like the king crab to the side. Tell me what you'd like to eat, and Grandma will get it for you. Knowing the ways of the older generation, Cassandra didn't hesitate. Grandma, I'd love some of those noodles. Of course, of course. Martha happily picked up a bowl and served her. After much hesitation, Liam finally took a deep breath and brought up the subject of them moving to the city. Grandpa, Cassandra and I saved up a bit before we went abroad. We have a villa outside the city. I came back this time hoping to bring you and Grandma to live with us. That way, you won't have to work so hard anymore. The word villa made Martha freeze, as if she couldn't believe Liam had become so successful. George, however, found it perfectly normal. His grandson should have such capabilities. He smiled. Not for now. Your grandmother and I have lived here our whole lives. We wouldn't be used to the city. Besides, the Landon family is still over there. Ultimately, they were still worried the Landons would secretly cause trouble for Liam. But at the mention of a Landon family, Cassandra's expression turned icy. The Landon family has been destroyed. What? George shot to his feet, stunned. Child, don't you play tricks on us. What really happened to the Landons? Martha's face grew grave. Cassandra hadn't expected to be so blunt, but the words were out. Might as well explain. The second in command of the Landon family was murdered by Lawrence Landon. This was public knowledge, though the media hadn't picked up on it. Combined with the Thorne family's deliberate suppression of the news, the Landon affair had all but vanished from the public eye. Murdered? Oh my God! Martha covered her mouth in disbelief. For any ordinary person, a murder was a monumental event. A grim look flashed in Cassandra's eyes. The Landon family lost a corporate war with my Thorne family, she continued through clenched teeth. They're ruined, their family scattered. She didn't mention that Lawrence Landon was currently locked away in a secret royal prison, under heavy guard. The old couple was already struggling. Hearing something so outlandish would only sound like a fairy tale to them. Even so, Liam watched them worriedly. News like this was hard for anyone to process, let alone two elderly people. But in the next second, P13.She burst out laughing. I always said that old bastard Lawrence Landon was no good. Daughter, your Thorne family did a fine job. George couldn't stop praising her, even giving Cassandra a thumbs up. Liam froze, completely stunned by this reaction. Beside him, Martha was also full of praise. Exactly. When they refused to let Carol into their family, I knew the Landons were all rotten. It's karma, I tell you. They deserved every bit of it. At the mention of P13.She, it finally clicked for Liam. Of course, the bride's family and the groom's family were at odds. Her family and his family were natural enemies. What was he so worried about? Liam let out a long breath, the weight lifting from his chest. But before he could fully relax, Martha's next words made him freeze all over again. Wait a minute, child. If your Thorne family is so powerful, and our Liam. Martha covered her mouth, looking from Cassandra to Liam in shock. Liam, don't tell me. You married into her family? Puffed. Across the table, Chloe, who had been focused on her food, sprayed out a mouthful of meat. She quickly grabbed a napkin. Grandma, what are you talking about? She mumbled. George had also caught on and stared at Liam. Liam, you're a kept husband. Cassandra, who had been stone-faced a moment ago, couldn't suppress a smile at the old couple's words. She covered her mouth, looking at Liam with an amused expression, clearly not planning to explain. Liam's mouth twitched. He was speechless. If he was being honest, it did kind of feel like that. Most of what he had now, the house, the cars, the money, had come from Cassandra. Even a high-limit credit card he'd used to buy things for his grandparents had been handed to him by his father-in-law. How do I put this? Liam was in a bind. He glanced at Cassandra and sighed internally. Are you just going to sit there and enjoy the show? Yes. I am. I want to see how you explain this one. Fine. Then I'll just tell it like it is. Go right ahead. After their silent exchange, Liam knew Cassandra was determined to watch him squirm. He decided to take her down with him. No, of course not. What do you mean? I'm married into her family. Cassandra pursued me. George and Martha froze. Their precious grandson was chased by a girl. Cassandra's smile froze on her face. Under the table, she sneakily reached out and pinched the soft skin of Liam's elbow. Say that again, she said, her voice a sweet, deadly whisper that seemed to come from between her teeth. Liam, being the closest, heard it loud and clear. But unfortunately for her, she was pinching his elbow. Even with all her strength, it barely hurt. You asked for it. Liam smiled and continued. After Cassandra met me, it was love at first sight. Then she insisted on chasing me. She would cry a river of tears if I didn't agree to date her. So I had no choice but to give in. Chloe didn't deny it. What Liam said was in essence true. Given Miss Thorne's usual force of personality, Chloe could easily imagine the scene, even without knowing the details. It probably involved Cassandra holding a knife to Liam's throat, threatening him through gritted teeth. Are you going to date me or not? If you don't, I'll bully your sister. Hiss. The thought made Chloe shiver. George just chuckled and sat back down, saying nothing. Martha, however, looked worried. Then Liam, what are your true feelings for Cassandra? Cassandra, who had been fuming, immediately perked up at the question, her eyes shining as she looked at Liam. She's my wife, Liam said, knowing what his grandmother was worried about. He smiled. If I didn't love her, I wouldn't have married her and had a child with her. Oh, that's good, that's good. Martha let out a visible sigh of relief. Cassandra's cheeks flushed. She forgot all about pinching Liam and pulled her hand back, picking at her food with a rosy face. The atmosphere instantly warmed. Liam changed the subject. Grandpa, Grandma, are you sure you won't reconsider? It's a villa. The house is huge. More than enough room for you to move in. It's mostly empty anyway. No need, George waved his hand. I still have the factory here. A lot of people in this neighborhood depend on it for their jobs. If I leave and the factory closes, how will they make a living? That's true. Liam nodded, not pressing further. Martha stared at the sweet rice on the table and sighed. If only Carol were back to normal. This steamed sweet rice was her favorite dish growing up. Now everyone was here, except for P13.She, Liam and Chloe's mother. Cassandra spoke up softly. Liam, tomorrow you and Chloe should go bring your mother back. It's time I met her too. No matter what, she was Liam's wife now. Meeting her husband's mother was the right thing to do. Okay, Liam had been planning to do just that. He nodded and looked at Chloe. Let's go to the nursing home first thing in the morning. Eager to see her mother, Chloe naturally had no objections. Okay, she agreed. The next morning, Chloe and Liam left the village early. Haley Lou drove them to the nursing home in Quincy. They arrived around 9, just as many of the residents were coming out for their morning activities. But when they found the director and asked to see P13.She, they learned that she had been picked up early that morning. I really don't know the details, the director said, pulling a worn piece of paper from his pocket as if he'd been saving it. They had a prescription from her doctor. The person who came left a phone number and said you could call them if you came looking. Chloe was frantic. She snatched the paper and unfolded it. It was a phone number. Without hesitating, Liam pulled out his phone and dialed. To his surprise, the voice on the other end was Simon Shaw, Sylvia's father. Liam, my boy, I knew you'd call. Don't worry. Your and Chloe's mother is with me. She's very safe. Safe? What a joke. His daughter was locked up in prison. How could Liam know this wasn't for revenge? Liam's eyes darkened. Mr. Shaw, what do you want? He asked coldly. Sensing Liam's hostility, Simon Shaw sighed. I want to trade your mother's life for my daughter Sylvia's. What do you mean? The Shaw family's medical expertise is second to none. I've already examined your mother's condition. We can cure her. But I need my daughter back in return. Simon's voice was gentle, almost pleading. Liam, whatever else has happened, Sylvia is my daughter. I can't just stand by and watch her die. Brother, who is it? What did he say? Chloe was beside herself with anxiety, shaking Liam's shoulders. Liam's expression hardened. He glanced at Chloe, then spoke softly into the phone. One moment, I need to discuss this with my sister. Of course, Simon agreed without hesitation. Covering the phone, Liam repeated Simon's offer to Chloe. She froze. You mean, Mom's illness can be cured? Yes. Liam nodded, waiting for her input. Chloe was clearly torn. She bit her fingernails, her brow furrowed in a tight knot. The P13.She she remembered had been unstable for as long as she could recall, lucid for only a few fleeting hours a week, like a flower blooming and wilting in an instant. Growing up, Chloe's first wish had been to find her brother, and her second was for her mother to get well. Both had once seemed impossible dreams. Now, her brother was here, her grandparents knew, and the only piece missing was her mother. But now her mother had a chance to be cured, to receive treatment. The only condition was to let Sylvia Shaw, the woman who had tormented them both, go free. Chloe was paralyzed with indecision. She didn't know what to choose. Sylvia had bullied her, and that was one thing, but she had also hurt her brother. How could they let her go so easily? Her brow remained furrowed as she looked intently at Liam. After a long moment, she said, "Brother, you decide." In the end, she left the choice to him. Whatever Liam decided, she wouldn't be angry. She trusted her brother. Liam's expression grew serious. An image of Cassandra flashed in his mind. "Perhaps I should discuss this with Cassandra," he said after a moment. "I think that's a good idea. My sister-in-law really looks out for you. When you were gone, she could barely sleep. Sylvia is our common enemy now, so Cassandra should have a say in this," Chloe agreed. Liam nodded, uncovered the microphone, and spoke into the phone. "Mr. Shaw, I need to discuss your proposal with my wife. I'll call you back shortly." No matter what, Liam used a respectful tone. First, his mother was in the Shaw family's hands. Second, the Shaws had cared for him for several years. He hoped Simon would treat his mother well. As if expecting this, Simon didn't push. "All right, I'll wait for your call." The line disconnected. Liam immediately called Cassandra. Since she was in her first trimester, Cassandra wasn't keeping any electronic devices on her. Martha Xia answered the phone. Hearing Liam's voice, she smiled and opened the bedroom door to hand the phone to a just-awakened Cassandra. "HM? What's wrong?" Cassandra's voice was sleepy, with a soft, childlike quality that was a world away from her usual sharp, decisive tone. Hearing her sound like that was a rare treat. Liam's heart softened, and his own voice grew gentle without him realizing it. Cassandra mumbled, struggling to sit up. "Weren't you going to pick up your mother? Did something happen?" She yawned. Martha, who had been about to leave with a smile, froze in the doorway, looking nervously at Cassandra. Liam scratched his head. Is a woman's intuition always this sharp? Duh. Cassandra huffed, rolling her eyes. Who wouldn't figure it out? You want to pick someone up? Didn't come back, and called her halfway through. Of course something had happened. Before Liam could respond, Cassandra's tone became serious. "Isn't Haley with you? You start investigating. I'll call Maria and have her send a security team from Black Lake Manor." He had called her. That meant he trusted her completely, and she would naturally stand with him. A warmth spread through Liam's chest. "Cassandra, don't get ahead of yourself. It's like this." She was taken by Sylvia Shaw's father, Simon. Simon Shaw. Cassandra's eyebrows shot up. The name, Sylvia Shaw, was now a trigger for her, making her want to personally strangle the woman. "I spared their family for your sake, and I can't believe they have the audacity to pull something like this again and again." Her voice was sharp and unforgiving. She was always so quick to jump to his defense, so fiercely protective. Liam didn't find it annoying at all. In fact, it made his heart feel warm and full. This wasn't about punishing Simon Shaw anymore. Because of Cassandra's words, in the middle of a tense situation, Liam's lips curled into an uncontrollable smile. "Cassandra, don't be angry. Just listen to me first," he said, his voice laced with amusement. "Simon said the Shaw family has a way to cure my mother's illness. The condition he gave me is that I have to get their daughter back." On the other end of the line, Cassandra fell silent. Not because of the deal, but because this time, Liam had told her everything, honestly. A matter like this should have been a decision between him and his sister. But he had told her. It meant he truly, completely considered her family. But, let Sylvia Shaw go? Impossible. She was a mortal enemy. Cassandra bit her lip, hesitating for a moment before asking, "What did you and Chloe decide?" Before he could answer, she added, "No, I should ask what you decided. Chloe probably follows your lead, right?" She knew them so well after all this time. "Yeah," Liam confirmed. Cassandra narrowed her eyes. She didn't deny that the Shaw family's medical skills were formidable, especially in neurology. She hadn't used the Thorne family's power to completely annihilate them back, then partly because they were skilled, and partly because they had shown Liam kindness. So she had merely restricted them financially, not pushed them to their absolute breaking point. Now, however, her expression darkened. "So, what's your decision?" Liam's eyes narrowed slightly. He smiled. "It's not an unreasonable condition. They just want me to let Sylvia Shaw go, right? Of course I'm going to agree." Cassandra froze. Then, as if she understood everything, she burst out laughing. "Oh, Liam, you really are something else. What am I supposed to say to you? It's not always a good thing to be too smart." Being understood so instantly by Cassandra was an incredible feeling. Liam grinned. "Whether it's a good thing or not depends on whether the smart person is on your side, right? I'm your darling husband. Shouldn't you be happy your husband is so clever?" The words made Cassandra's face flush. "Just get this sorted out quickly. I want you back here to feed me breakfast," she huffed. It's lunchtime, you lazy princess. Liam had to get in one last jab before hanging up. Cassandra was about to retort, but the dial tone buzzed in her ear. Her burst of anger melted into a shy smile. Oomph. She happily turned off her phone screen. Beside her, Martha rushed forward anxiously. Cassandra, dear, are Liam and Chloe in some kind of trouble? It's nothing, Grandma. With Liam there, no trouble is really trouble. Cassandra proudly handed the phone back. Seeing Martha was still worried, she reassured her, don't worry. They said they have good news to tell you when they get back. With that, she snuggled back under the covers. Martha couldn't press any further. She sighed. The kids are grown now, and she couldn't control them. She tucked the phone in her pocket. Well, I'll go heat up some broth and bring it to you. They won't be back until this afternoon, but you have to eat your breakfast. Before Cassandra could refuse, Martha was gone. Cassandra curled up in the blankets, a blissful smile on her face. After hanging up with Cassandra, Liam called Simon Shaw again. Simon seemed to have been waiting, as he answered almost immediately. Liam, have you decided? Simon's voice was full of hope and pleading. Liam feigned difficulty. It's no good, Mr. Shaw. My wife is too hostile toward your daughter. She won't agree to it under any circumstances. Your wife, Miss Thorne. As if he expected it, Simon sighed. I never thought that child, Cassandra. Well, I suppose Sylvia was in the wrong first. His voice cracked with a sob. Liam, I still want to beg you. I just want my daughter back. Liam's stance remained firm. Mr. Shaw, I think you have the order of things wrong. Sylvia brought this on herself. What she did in the UK can't be resolved with a single word from me. It's not my decision whether to release her or not. I know, but Liam, you underestimate your own influence. I've heard through the grapevine that the British royal family holds you in very high regard. And with the Thorne family backing you, your words carry a lot of weight. If you're willing to speak up for Sylvia, I'm sure they will show you some courtesy. Simon's words were carefully chosen. As a father, the only thing he could do now was try to save his daughter, and the only person who could do that was Liam. I've already examined your mother's condition. My family can cure her. I've even given her several doses of medicine. She just needs one more acupuncture treatment tomorrow, and she'll be completely recovered. I'm begging you, as a favor. I just want my daughter to live. Every word from Simon was drenched in sincerity. Putting himself in Simon's shoes, Liam could empathize, but he couldn't condone it. He narrowed his eyes, his voice dropping a few degrees. All right, I accept your terms. I can help you plead for your daughter, but I can't guarantee whether the royals will release her or not. They will. They definitely will. Simon became instantly excited. As long as you're willing to speak, Liam, they'll agree. I'm not asking for much. Just that they go easy on her before the sentence is carried out. I just want my daughter to come back alive. Just to spare her life. Fine, Liam agreed. He hung up. Chloe looked at him, worried. Brother, you just agreed like that. What else could I do? Liam shrugged. It was a chance to save their mother and restore her health. It was a win-win. Chloe's eyes widened. Actually, brother, if Mom were lucid and knew the whole story, knew how much we suffered, she would never want us to compromise. Then we won't let her know, Liam said simply. If she can be healthy again, why burden her with all this messy business? Besides, didn't Simon say it himself? He just wants Sylvia to live, to spare her life. I'll agree to talk. The rest is up to her own luck. That was true. Simon only asked for Sylvia to be kept alive, not how she would live. As long as she had a pulse, the condition would be met. It didn't seem like an outrageous demand. Staring at Liam, Chloe suddenly understood. A smile spread across her face. You're still the clever one, brother. Let's head back. I'll talk to Mr. Thorne about this later. It's not appropriate for me to show my face at the royal residence. It's better if he arranges it. They were all masters of the game. One word from Liam, and Cassandra understood. Caleb Thorne would be no different. On the way home, Liam briefly explained his conversation with Simon to Caleb. As expected, Caleb understood immediately. Don't worry, he said. I'll arrange a private jet. We'll see her on her way. At the royal residence in the UK, Lord Charles received Caleb Thorne's call. As soon as he heard it was about Liam, he became animated. After hanging up, Charles summoned Princess Anna to discuss the matter of Sylvia Shaw. I can't believe it. Liam's mother is still alive. Then that means she could be my daughter. Charles was practically vibrating with excitement, almost jumping out of his seat. Anna smiled. Not necessarily, father. You didn't know if you had a son or a daughter, did you? It could be his wife. Right. Charles was ecstatic. In that case, he ordered, go assemble a few guards. You will handle this matter. For someone like Sylvia Shaw, her crimes would have meant a death sentence in some countries, but not in the UK. It would be life imprisonment. But to be locked away in a foreign country, never to be seen again, was no different from a death sentence for her family. That's why Simon had pleaded with Liam. The solution was simple. With a word from on high, finding a substitute prisoner with a similar sentence was an easy task. Anna nodded and immediately set about making the arrangements. Although the matter was confidential, Natalie, who had been investigating in secret, found out. Watching Sylvia Shaw being secretly transferred, the stone of dread in Natalie's heart grew heavier. This wasn't just showing favor. This was treating him like family. Natalie had never seen her father show such partiality to anyone. Only Liam. It was all too obvious. I have to do something. Natalie bit her lip, her mind already made up. Caleb Thorne's helicopter was scheduled to depart the next evening. After coordinating with Simon Shaw, they would be waiting at the capital's main airport. As a show of good faith, Simon sent men to bring Carol Xia to the P13.She neighborhood the following afternoon. Upon hearing their daughter was coming home, George and Martha were too excited to sleep a wink. The next afternoon, the Shaw family's car arrived on schedule. As the door opened, Liam saw the gentle, elegant woman for the second time. She was slender, her skin so pale it was almost translucent, her veins visible beneath the surface, as if she had endured immense suffering. Her hair was down, and as she stepped out of the car, her eyes instantly reddened. "Mom!" Having not seen her mother in so long, Chloe was overcome with emotion and rushed forward to grab Carol's hands. "Chloe, you've grown so tall, and you're all grown up." Carol's eyes shimmered with tears as she instinctively reached up to stroke Chloe's head. "Mom!" Chloe sobbed, burying her face in Carol's shoulder. Hugging her daughter, Carol stroked the back of Chloe's head and slowly looked up. Her gaze swept over Martha and George, clearly recognizing them, before finally landing on Liam. That incredibly familiar face made Carol freeze in astonishment. She stared at Liam, her voice trembling with disbelief as she called out a name she hadn't spoken in years. "Victor, is that you? You're still alive, aren't you?" Liam was taken aback. He'd heard the name from Caleb Thorne before. It was his father, Victor Lynn. He must have looked so much like his father that Carol had mistaken him. Knowing how much her daughter had suffered, Martha's eyes also turned red. She took Liam's hand. "Child, this is your and Victor's son. He's Chloe's brother." "Son," Carol whispered the word, her eyes widening in disbelief, then transforming into joyous surprise. "My son? He's my son with Victor, and he's alive?" Tears streamed uncontrollably down her cheeks. It was true. For a son who had been lost for so many years to return, what incredible luck. Chloe pulled away from her mother, wiped her tears, and took Carol's hand. "Mom, he really is my brother. We've already had the DNA test done, and he's the one who found someone to treat you." Chloe held nothing back, telling her everything that had happened recently. Carol knew she was sick, but she couldn't control it. Her son had disappeared, her beloved husband had died. She couldn't bear another blow. And now, her and Victor's child was alive, standing right in front of her, so handsome and successful. For a moment, Carol's mouth hung open, too emotional to speak. Beside her, George smiled. "Let's go inside. It's getting cold out here in the wind." Chloe led Carol toward the house, but as they passed Liam, Carol stopped, refusing to go any further. Her eyes were fixed on Liam, never leaving his face. Martha came over and pushed Liam's wheelchair, and only then did the group move inside. "Everything's better now. It's all better now," George said, full of emotion. "For your grandmother and me, at our age, to see Carol healthy again and to see Liam come home. We have no more regrets." He went inside and stood staring at the calendar on the wall, muttering to himself. Martha's eyes were also red as she covered her mouth, tears welling up. Cassandra was in the bedroom. Hearing the family conversation outside, she didn't go out. She knew this was a rare moment of reunion for them, and she was genuinely happy for Liam. After a long explanation, Carol finally understood everything. She learned that Liam's leg injury was temporary and would heal. She wiped away her tears and, for the first time in front of her children, began to speak of her past with Victor Lynn. They had met in college. Carol was the head of the arts committee, and Victor was on the academic committee. The two departments often collaborated on events, which was how they met and eventually fell in love after graduation. Carol's excellent grades landed her a management position at a top 100 company. Later, by a stroke of luck, Victor became a director at the same company. Because of their mutual crush from their school days, Victor often took Carol to various galas and shielded her from the more tedious aspects of work. Over time, Carol managed to break into New York's business circles. This was why she had exuded such an air of nobility when Liam first saw her. Later, when they were discussing marriage and Carol became pregnant, Victor revealed that he was a young master of the Landon family and that he wanted to propose to her in front of everyone. They agreed to meet each other's parents and then get married while she was pregnant. But that's when Victor's father, Lawrence Landon, adamantly refused. He would not tolerate a girl with no family background marrying into the Landon family, even accusing Carol of seducing Victor for the family's fortune. Victor fought back. Finally, after Carol gave birth to Liam, the three of them appeared before Lawrence. He finally relented, giving Victor a condition. If Victor could pass a series of high-stakes trials and become the head of the Landon family, he would no longer stand in their way. So, Victor enlisted in a special military unit that year. At the same time, Carol became pregnant again. The day she found out was the day Victor left for the military. They made a pact. Carol would take care of herself and the baby, and when he returned, he would marry her in a grand ceremony. But that was the year Victor died on the battlefield. Perhaps only Caleb Thorne knew the real story of his death. That same year, Carol, alone in the small villa Victor had bought for her, gave birth to Chloe with the help of 2 nannies. Later, while she was still recovering from childbirth and playing with baby Chloe, a nanny burst in to tell her the young master had disappeared. Carol searched the entire neighborhood, but couldn't find any trace of Liam. Victor hadn't returned, and she knew she couldn't rely on the Landons. With an infant to care for, she had to pull herself together, pack her things, and return to her parents' home. Years passed. They never found Liam, and there was no news of Victor, until George couldn't bear it any longer and went to the Landon family himself, only to learn that Victor had died on the battlefield long ago. From that day on, Carol Sia completely lost her mind. From that point on, a young Chloe, whenever her grandparents were out, shouldered the responsibility of caring for her mother. All the pieces fell into place. Liam finally understood his own history. There was no doubt his disappearance was no accident. It was orchestrated by Lawrence Landon. The 2 nannies Carol mentioned must have been his people. Whatever grudge existed between them, Liam didn't care. That wasn't the point. The point was that the people he cared about were all here now. That was enough. Liam. After telling her long story, Carol's throat was dry, but she couldn't think of drinking water. There was only one thing on her mind. She wanted to hear Liam call her. She looked at him with longing, her crystalline eyes full of hope and pleading. Meeting her gaze, Liam understood instantly. He knew what she wanted to hear. He opened his mouth, but though the word was on the tip of his tongue, his throat felt tight and no sound came out. He had never said that word in his entire life. To suddenly say it now felt deeply embarrassing. For some reason, he just couldn't. Seeing this, Martha quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Carol, don't be anxious. Liam was away for a long time. It's normal that he can't say it right away. He's back now, and you're well. We have plenty of time. That's right. Don't rush it. We had it rough, but the boy had it rougher all these years. Take it slow. You'll spend time together, and there will be opportunities later, George added gently. Carol was a little disappointed, but she couldn't deny they were right. Liam had left her when he was just over a year old. It would be strange if he could just call her mom right away. She nodded, saying no more. Chloe quickly stood up. Mom, did you know? Brother is married. We came back with my sister-in-law the day before yesterday. Married? Carol was stunned. She looked at Liam, then realized, right at Liam's age, he should be thinking about getting married. So my daughter-in-law, is she here? Of course she is. She's in the other room. Chloe immediately stood and, with a nod from Liam, pushed open the bedroom door. As the door opened, they all saw Cassandra sitting on a small stool right by the entrance, clearly in the middle of eavesdropping. Liam couldn't help but burst out laughing. Utterly embarrassed, Cassandra shot him a furious glare as she stood up. Though the scene was slightly comical, the overall feeling was one of warmth. Liam waved her over. Come on, he beckoned, gesturing toward Carol. Cassandra understood. She smoothed her clothes, walked out with a serious expression, and gave Carol an elegant nod. It's a pleasure to meet you. The moment Carol saw Cassandra, her eyes lit up. Are you a child of the Thorne family? She blurted out. Her question made everyone turn to look at her in confusion. Yes, I am. My name is Cassandra Thorne, Cassandra replied politely. Carol smiled. I've heard of you. The Thorne family's children. I dealt with your corporation back when I was still working. She never imagined her daughter-in-law would be the eldest daughter of the Thorne family. For a moment, Carol didn't know whether to call Liam lucky or brilliant. No, it must be brilliant. Mine, Victor's son, is, of course, the most brilliant of all. I see, Cassandra smiled. I was probably quite young then. You must have heard about my father. Yes, your father's legendary exploits are quite numerous. Having finally found a topic of conversation, Carol enthusiastically patted the spot next to her on the sofa, inviting Cassandra to sit. Cassandra didn't hesitate and sat down beside her. Your father's helicopter wedding crashing was the talk of the town for years, Carol began. I heard he even eloped with your mother across the ocean, which made the old men in your family furious. She spoke with a smile, telling stories of Cassandra's parents' past. George and Martha listened as if they were hearing a fairy tale. Beside them, Chloe's smile was fixed and awkward as she glanced at Cassandra. Liam's eyes widened. He knew Cassandra had chased him with a helicopter, but he'd never heard this story. The two of them really were cut from the same cloth. Like father, like daughter. Cassandra raised an eyebrow, as if hearing this for the first time herself. Her gaze fell on Liam, a hint of pride in her eyes. Your father also arranged a citywide proposal for your mother, Carol continued. Technology wasn't as advanced back then. To announce it to the world, he filled the entire city with hot air balloons on the day he proposed and dropped rose petals from the sky. The spectacle. Victor and I were. She trailed off as she said Victor's name. Cassandra didn't mind. Her brow arched. An event that sensational. Perhaps it was worth repeating? Her thoughtful gaze landed on Liam, but she said nothing. Mom, it's okay, Chloe said, trying to comfort her. If Dad knew our family was reunited now, he would be very happy, too. Yes, Victor would be very happy. A smile finally returned to Carol's face. The most important thing now was to build a relationship with Liam. The thought filled her with energy. She immediately rolled up her sleeves and stood. I'll go make dinner. I'm in charge tonight. No one argued. Chloe's tears turned to a smile. I'll help you, Mom. Martha also stood. Let's make a big meal tonight. The fridge is full of things Liam and the others bought a few days ago. We have more than enough. I'll go to the factory and arrange my work. I won't go in for the next few days, George said, also getting up to leave. Soon, only Liam and Cassandra were left in the living room. Noticing Cassandra's pensive look, Liam tilted his head. What are you thinking about, honey? Cassandra tapped her chin, seemingly accustomed to the pet name. She lifted her gaze, her eyes glinting with a few sparks of light. I was just thinking, she murmured, what kind of wedding should we have for the new year? Whatever you want. You pick the style, and I'll arrange the rest. But Cassandra shook her head. Her eyes were bright as she looked at him. I think my dad's style was pretty good. Why don't we recreate it? Huh? Liam was stunned. What did she mean? She wanted him to play the part of a domineering CEO in a grand proposal. Meeting Cassandra's smiling eyes, Liam couldn't help but shiver. He opened his mouth, forcing the words out. You mean, Cassandra, you want to be the damsel in distress? Cassandra's lips twisted into a smirk. She suddenly stood and walked over, looking down at Liam with a smile still plastered on her face. Say that again. She was smiling, but her tone was pure threat, as if one more word from him would unleash her bad side. Any normal person would have understood, but Liam's mouth had a mind of its own. You just said you wanted to be the damsel in distress, he replied cheerfully, without a hint of hesitation. That works. I'll arrange it just like that. I'll let the whole city know that I, Liam, am going to marry Cassandra Thorne. The first half of his sentence genuinely annoyed Cassandra, but the second half sent a wave of heat rushing to her face. You, what nonsense are you talking about? Who said I want to marry you? She huffed, crossing her arms and turning her head away in a fit of pique. Liam's eyes twinkled. He feigned disappointment. Oh, so you don't want to marry me? No, that's not what I meant. Cassandra panicked, nearly jumping to her feet. She whirled around, cupped his face in her hands, and leaned down without hesitation, planting a firm kiss on his cheek as if to vent her frustration. Chloe, who had come in with Carol to grab some vegetables, pulled back the door curtain just in time to witness the heated scene. Carol's eyes flashed with amusement, and she smiled helplessly. Chloe was so embarrassed she could feel her toes curling in her shoes. I didn't see anything. You two continue, she stammered. Getting caught by Chloe was one thing, but to be kissing Carol's son right in front of her on the day she came home. The blush on Cassandra's cheeks had spread all the way to her ears. She let out a cold huff and stormed back into the bedroom. The warm atmosphere had been shattered. Liam, snapping back to reality, turned to the doorway and scolded Chloe on Cassandra's behalf. Why don't you knock? You scared your sister-in-law so much she ran back into her room. Now that she and Liam were more familiar, Chloe wasn't afraid to talk back. She put her hands on her hips, emboldened by Carol's presence, and retorted fiercely. Oh, I don't know. Maybe someone should be more aware of their surroundings. Who knocks to enter a living room? Ugh. She had a point. Liam was speechless. Chloe grabbed Carol's arm, whining playfully. Mom, look at my brother. He's bullying me again. All right. Using Mom as a shield, are we? Liam sighed. Who's bullying who? I was having a moment with my wife. You're the one who came barging in. Well, you should pick a better place to be affectionate. Who starts cuddling in the living room? You're just bullying me because I'm single. Chloe shot back, her courage growing with their familiarity. This playful bickering was a rare sight, and a constant smile remained on Carol's face. To finally see her two children squabbling, a scene she had fantasized about countless times, filled her with a deep sense of peace. "All right, Chloe," Carol said, laughing as she mediated. "Your brother's married now. You need to find someone you like, too. How about I check out the dating scene for you in the next few days? You can pick a boy to get to know." Her words were immediately met with Chloe's horrified rejection. "No way. I'm still in school. I'm not going on some blind date." A mischievous glint appeared in Liam's eyes. He was suddenly keen to watch the show. He raised an eyebrow. "I think that's an excellent idea. We should take advantage of the next few days. Chloe can't be alone forever." He smiled, but it was a slightly menacing one. Chloe's heart sank. She stared at Liam in disbelief. With Liam's approval, Carol was even more enthusiastic. "Great. I haven't contacted my old friends in ages. Don't you worry, Chloe. The boys I find for you will be top-notch. Trust your mother's judgment." Chloe turned her head, looking from her mother to Liam in utter shock. She didn't say another word, just covered her mouth and ran off. "Oh, this child." Carol was bewildered. She called after her and sighed. "Honestly, she didn't even let me finish. Liam, dear, once I've met them in a few days, you should come take a look too. For now, I'm going to go cook." "Okay." Liam nodded, watching Carol leave before wheeling himself into the bedroom. The moment he closed the door, Cassandra, who was leaning against the wall, spoke in a cool voice. "Chloe isn't happy." If even she had noticed, of course Liam had. He smiled at her. "Can you guess why she's not happy?" "How should I know? I'm not her brother," Cassandra retorted with a roll of her eyes. Liam chuckled and beckoned her over. A flicker of curiosity crossed Cassandra's eyes, but she obediently walked over. "What?" "I'll tell you." Liam motioned for her to lean in, then whispered, "Chloe already likes someone. Haven't you noticed?" The sudden question made Cassandra pause. She recalled the camping trip and the secrets Liam had shared with her. "You mean Leo?" she asked, surprised. Liam nodded with a smile. Cassandra huffed. "Then if she already likes someone, why are you forcing her to go on dates? Aren't you just trying to break them up? If she had a brother who dared to interfere with her and Liam like that, she might just have to disown him." "Ah, but you're mistaken." Liam grinned. "Sometimes, if you don't give them a little push, they'll never recognize their own feelings." "You mean?" Cassandra seemed to understand. She frowned at him. "But aren't you worried they'll hate you for this? What's a hero's epic romance without a villain to push them along?" Liam replied with a smile. He took her hand. "Besides, don't you want to watch the show, Cassandra?" "Oomph. I couldn't care less about these things," Cassandra said, her default response, but then she immediately offered a suggestion. "However, Leo has to find out about Chloe's dates. We have to think of a way to tell him." "That's easy. Just have Haley and the others mention it like they're gossiping." "Brilliant. I'm already looking forward to this drama." At the Stanton estate in the UK. "Palmer, can I take tomorrow off? I've been training for a week straight. Didn't even stop for Thanksgiving. I seriously can't do it anymore." At the dinner table, a bruised and swollen Leo had his voice down to a whisper, rubbing his hands together as he pleaded with Palmer. Palmer sighed. "Young man, you need to work hard. This is just the beginning. If you're saying you can't do it now, how are you going to survive the next 3 months?" 3 months, Leo mumbled, then covered his face in despair. If Palmer hadn't reminded him, he wouldn't have realized that his agonizing ordeal had only lasted a single week. How was he supposed to survive the days to come? There was still so much time left. Instantly, Leo felt like his world was collapsing. "Actually, you're doing great. A week ago you were, 220 pounds? Look at you now. You've lost 10 pounds in just a week. In another 3 months, your body fat will be back to normal," Palmer explained with a smile, stuffing rice into his mouth. Leo looked to the heavens and sighed. Only he knew how his body had felt like it was falling apart after that first grueling 3-mile run. "How about we reduce the intensity a little, Palmer? I really can't take it anymore," Leo said, on the verge of tears. Palmer shook his head. "You made it through the first week. It'll get easier from here. Once your body gets used to it, everything else will fall into place." He had only made it through the first week because Chloe was there, but now Riley and Evelyn rarely came out, and the only person he ever saw in the vast gardens was Palmer. It was like being in solitary confinement, not just a physical torment, but a mental one. He was about to break. Leo, a big guy, felt his eyes turn red at these words. He mechanically shoveled food into his mouth. A moment later, Evelyn and Dr. Aiden walked in for their meal. As soon as they sat down, they took in the scene and knew exactly what was going on. Evelyn took out her phone and smiled at Aiden. "Miss Thorne says they'll be back in a couple of days." I'll get ready to give Mr. Let another check up then, Aiden replied. The boss is coming back. All of them together. Palmer asked, turning his head while eating. Yes, but I heard they're planning to set Chloe up on some dates, so they'll be delayed a few days, Evelyn said with a smile, deliberately letting the words hang in the air while she snuck a glance at Leo. Palmer understood instantly. He ate with a grin, secretly watching Leo's reaction. As expected, Leo, who had been eating with a look of pure misery, froze. He jerked his head up, choking on his food. Evelyn, what did you say? They're having Chloe do what? Go on dates. Evelyn said, enjoying the show. Miss Thorne said Liam's mother has recovered and the family is reunited. They figured it was a good time to find a match for Chloe. She then looked at Aiden. Matchmaking is a custom back in our home country. It's like setting up a mixer. Ah, I see. Aiden nodded. Leo shot to his feet. No, he slammed his chopsticks down, his face flushed with anxiety. How can they decide that for her? Who Chloe likes is her own business. This kind of matchmaking is just forcing her. He stood there, trembling, and shouted. His outburst startled everyone at the table. Evelyn's eyes twinkled. She continued with a smile. Mr. Lynn is Chloe's brother, and Miss Thorne is her sister-in-law. It's perfectly normal for them to arrange dates for her. Besides, her own family had no objections. What good would an outsider's opinion do? To be honest, the moment Evelyn received Cassandra's message, she knew what her boss was up to. She understood her perfectly. Sometimes, if you don't push someone, they'll never know their own heart. And since her boss couldn't play the villain, she naturally had to step into the role. Her words made Leo freeze. She was right. What Evelyn said was true. It was their family's business. What did it have to do with him? Leo, his face still red a moment ago, now went pale. He stumbled back into his chair. He had been starving, so happy when dinner finally arrived. But now, looking at the low-fat meal tailored specifically for him, he had lost all appetite. Seeing his state, Evelyn spoke again. Leo, don't tell me you're in love with Chloe Sia. It was obvious to everyone. In this situation, if Leo didn't admit it, it might really be too late. He lowered his head dejectedly, staring at his plate. What else? He said with a bitter smile. Why else do you think I'm learning martial arts? I just want to be able to help if she's ever in danger, instead of hiding in a hotel room, waiting for Liam and the others to save the day. Leo had always felt useless, especially after meeting Liam. He used to think it was because he had no money because he was poor. And it was true, money was incredibly important. And in a way, he was right. Since he started following Liam, he had gotten rich, richer than he had ever dreamed. He had tens of millions and had even traveled abroad without a care in the world. But after truly entering this world, he suddenly realized how insignificant money could be. Problems that could be solved with money weren't really problems, but the problems that even money couldn't solve. Those were his own failings. He didn't have the ability to protect Chloe. When she was kidnapped, he was powerless to save her. He could only improve himself. But before he had a chance, Chloe was being sent on dates. He couldn't accept it. Seeing Leo remain silent, completely deflated, Evelyn cleared her throat. If you like her, then go after her. If you can't even take that first step, do you really think you'll have a chance later? But right now, Leo looked down at the fat he had accumulated over the past few weeks. He couldn't muster the courage. You're already changing, aren't you? It's just a confession. What if just by chance Chloe likes you too? People can change. It just depends on whether you have the determination. Leo's determination was plain for all to see. From day one, he had dragged his 220-pound body through a 3-mile run. That kind of perseverance was rare. Besides, what if, just by chance, Chloe likes you too? Those words were like a magic spell. From the moment Evelyn said them, they echoed in Leo's mind. Yeah, what if Chloe likes me too? If she was willing to wait, he would work hard to lose weight. He was already doing it, wasn't he? Then I'll call Chloe right now. After holding in for so long, Leo finally jumped to his feet, his face red. He didn't even care about his food anymore. Palmer finished the last bite of his meal with a smile. Don't stay up all night talking. Same time tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. No problem. Leo nodded emphatically and left the dining room without a second thought. He couldn't wait to call Chloe.